Yeah, welcome in. Welcome back to another episode of the Format Podcast Live, special Friday afternoon edition. Yes. How's everybody doing today? How's everybody doing? So here we go again with more on this whole LeBron James, Stephen A thing, but not quite the way I had originally expected. You can see from the thumbnail, I'm actually going to include some commentary from some different people on ESPN to kind of get a different outlook, a different perspective on this. And I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. There will be a little bit of Stephen A. Smith's commentary. He talked on his show on Wednesday afternoon, probably for just about an hour. And I was like, I'm not going to break all that down. I'm sorry. I know I said I was going to, but I mean, he spent a lot of that time kind of reiterating a lot of the things that he said previously in regards to how and why he wasn't crapping on Bronny, blah, blah, blah. But he did have some interesting nuggets in there that I will definitely share with you guys. But before I get to all that, and I'm definitely looking forward to unpacking some more of this, you know what we got to do. We got to hit the spiel. Then we'll maybe wait a minute or two, see who else pops up in the chat, and then we'll go from there. If you're watching here on YouTube, make sure you go ahead, click that subscribe, that like, that notification bell. Make sure you're kept aware anytime we drop new content on the channel. If you want the audio-only version of the podcast, open up your audio podcast platform, hit the search bar, type in The Format Podcast, and we should come right up. If you enjoy the content as you listen, make sure you give us a like, a 5-star review, and drop a comment. All that stuff helps us rise in the algorithm, helps us find more sports fans, helps more sports fans find us. And write it down, put it in your phones, make a note of it. The Format Podcast is live Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern. And finally, if you're really and truly enjoying the podcast and you want to help the show continue to grow, make sure you go ahead, click that join button, join the channel. We're going to have some exclusive content just for you. I'm laughing, y'all, because I just saw my main man, Steve, king of the chat. What's going on, Steve? Good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you for the support, as always. And before we even get started, just in case you're catching the replay or you're listening to this at another time, man, let me make sure I give a shout out to the channel members. Shout out Bruce from Baltimore. Shout out It's Not That Serious. Shout out Chief Sid Bubba. And, of course, shout out my number one channel member, Laker Nation. What's good, y'all? Thank you again so much for your support. And stay with me. I got an announcement. Somebody remind me because I'll probably forget. I got an announcement to make at the end of this show about something else we're doing this weekend that you guys may or may not look forward to. So, yeah, let's do that. But so unless, pardon the noise in the background, Caesar, he always seems to wait to go crazy till I get on the mic and start talking. But anyway, so here's what we're going to do, y'all. We are going to talk some more about this LeBron James, Stephen A. Smith thing, right? Because Stephen A. has been responding basically every time somebody else had commentary on this whole matter, right? Every time somebody had something to say about what was going on, Stephen A. Smith, he got back on his show, the Stephen A. Smith Show on YouTube, and he responded. And we covered all those responses. And then, of course, LeBron James sat down with Pat McAfee for a wide-ranging interview on Wednesday afternoon, which, got a whole ton of attention. I did my best to break that whole thing down. It took quite some time because how long was he talking? Probably about 72 minutes. So we really took our time, broke that thing down, dissected that. I would presume from multiple angles, but I'm sure some people don't agree with the way I dissected it or my thoughts on said interview. But that's fine. That's the nature of sports talk, right? So anyway, Stephen A. Smith, of course, responded, I want to say that same day. And I got those sounds and I was like, this is pretty good. Listen to the whole interview. He talked, as I mentioned earlier, for about an hour or so. And then he said what he had to say. Then he said more things on First Take the following morning. So there was all of that. But I was like, I'm sure these guys are, the guys being the listeners and the viewers of this show, the Format Podcast, are tired of hearing it, go back and forth for so long with Stephen A. and LeBron James. So like I said, I got about 12 minutes of Stephen A. commentary because, as I mentioned, he did say some things I thought were really interesting, and I want to share those with you guys. But I also have commentary from ESPN Unsportsmanlike, and I think that's the show that comes on from 6 to 9 every morning, Monday through Fridays on ESPN, featuring Super Bowl champion Chris Canty, who played in his career with the Dallas Cowboys, New York Giants, and Baltimore Ravens, as well as Evan Cohen and Michelle Smallman. Pretty good show. And they had some interesting things to say. So anyway, we're going to get into some of their commentary as well, and I'm excited to share that with you. But if you watch this show and you've been around, you know that there are certain things that I'll say over and over again and keep proving themselves to be true. What's one of those things? What do I always say? When it comes to LeBron, all I have to do is be patient, and I'll always be proven right. And when you hear some of this commentary that you're hearing from some of these people, it's going to sound very familiar. And you know what I do. I play the sound, I break in at times, I give my commentary, then I get back to it. That's how we get through it. Because again, some of these clips are pretty long, and if I play the whole thing, I'll just have a whole bunch of notes I got to be taking during the show. And, that's going to be boring. So I like the back and forth interaction, the way we do that. Also, I see that it also keeps you guys flowing in the chat. So that's something I enjoy as well. But yeah, man, I definitely felt like I got to get here and I got to give this commentary because there's some really good stuff going on. Cali Observer, what's going on? What's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for checking in. But yeah, so we've got a lot going on here. And again, you're going to hear a lot of the things that I've been saying about LeBron for quite some time. They're just coming to fruition. One of those things I said was, as his career winds down, if you notice, more and more people are telling the truth about this guy. Again, not my opinion, right? More and more people are coming and telling the truth about this guy. And I find it very interesting. I think the only question I would have is, what took you so long, right? But anyway, let's go ahead and let's get started with Stephen A. and some of his commentary following the interview on the Pat McAfee Show. All right, let's get it, y'all.
I wish he had the shop. I wish he invited me on. Not my platform, his platform. You can't defend the stuff that he's done. You have no idea, but he knows I know. We want to go there, let's go there. Slithering and just through stuff and always with the two-faced nonsense. Ooh, y'all don't know the half. Y'all don't know. So when he went on Pat McAfee.
So listen to that. One, Stephen A. just called him two-faced. He called him a snake. He didn't say snake verbatim, but he said he's slithering. What animals slither? A snake, right? A snake slithers. So he calls him a snake, right? So now remember, I'm the same guy who's always on this show talking about how LeBron James has gotten many coaches fired. He's gotten guys traded behind their backs. I've always said what? LeBron James is the type of guy that you're only good to him for as long as you're useful. After that, he will get rid of you with no compunction, right? He will move out on you with no compunction. He moved out on his former owner, Dan Gilbert, after Dan Gilbert paid this guy hundreds of millions, right? When he went to Miami, he skated on D Wade, who's supposed to be his boy, who's supposed to be his brother, without even telling him he was leaving. D Wade found out same time as everybody else. But guess what? D Wade's body was breaking down from all those years of physical play and, dare I say, some years of carrying LeBron. His body was breaking down. He could no longer be what LeBron needed him to be. So LeBron just skated on him without even telling him, right? That's a fact, not my opinion. Very interesting. Like, these are just little things. Again, all the coaches he got fired, all the players he got traded behind their backs, trying to get Kyrie traded, right? We know about that after Kyrie delivered him a championship. I mean, it's just real interesting. Goat Cast Hoops, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for joining in. So, yeah. We already heard Stephen A. say, y'all don't know the half. Ooh, y'all don't know the half. The only thing I have to say about that is, Stephen A., it's at this point now, you might as well drop it. You might as well drop it. He has no respect for you, right? He's disrespecting you on national TV, saying stuff that, well, a grown man shouldn't say about another grown man, but it is what it is. But he definitely, Stephen A., that is, if you're going to drop it, right? Don't say, ooh, y'all don't know the half. I wish y'all. Nah, don't do that. If that's the case and you're not going to tell us, then don't tease us with it. That's my thought. Cali Observer says, I think he meant Kobe's statue ceremony at Staples, not the memorial, because LBJ wasn't there like all the real Lakers past and present. Well, you know what? I'm not going to comment on that because I don't know. And I was under the impression that LeBron wasn't at the memorial for Kobe, and I was proven wrong on that as well. So, I'm not even going to comment on that. Steve says LeBron wasn't there for that Kobe ceremony. I don't think LeBron was there for Wade's Hall of Fame induction either. No, I don't think he was. I think So Stephen A said two things about that previously. I think one of the things he said was that it was either right after when Bronny had the incident, or he was LeBron was out of the country on business. It was one of those two things. I would hope it would be right after Bronny had the incident, because then it's understandable. But if you're out of the country on business, you could have worked that out to make it back for your quote unquote brother's Hall of Fame induction ceremony. But anyway, let's get back to Stephen A's commentary on this.
Show earlier today, it was no surprise. The show that comes on after First Take, the show that stars me. I know that you got a new podcast coming out with Steve Nash. No surprise there. JJ Redick, Steve Nash. No surprise. Got the podcast coming out. Definitely want to promote that basketball podcast. And we should watch it. We should learn, because LeBron knows more basketball than most people forgot. Just like he said to Pat McAfee, his mind, he thinks the game. Most of these people rely on their athleticism and their talents and their skill. He relies on his brain. He's absolutely right. And he knows basketball backwards and forwards. That has nothing to do with how you've treated people. That has nothing to do with the things that you've said. That has nothing to do with you confronting me about doing my job. And everybody wants to look at it and say, there's a father, there's a father, there's a father. Because I said, as a father, I stand by that. He goes on there and he talks smack. Cool, I got it. I got it. So it is what it is. He might think I'm salivating and I was happy to discuss it. I'm not happy to discuss a dude getting in my face, telling me stop shitting on his son. I'm not happy about that. When you retire, let's see how much I talk to you about you then. You won't matter much. I promise you. I won't.
All right, let me say this. I totally disagree with Stephen A saying, when you retire, let's see how much I talk about you then. I've been on wax saying that when LeBron retires, especially if he becomes an owner, he will be the Jerry Jones of the NBA. LeBron is not going to know what to do with himself. He's got to have the attention. He has to have it. He's addicted to it. He needs it, right? And so there's no way he's just going to retire and go off quietly into the sunset. Remember, I had talked a while back when LeBron was saying, well, I don't know when I'm ready to go, will I just, do like Tim Duncan and walk away quietly, or will I do, a retirement tour because I owe it to my fans that have been with me from the beginning, right? So if that's the case, well, that's not the case. We know what he's going to do because he's got to have the attention. There's no way he steps away and does a Tim Duncan, quiet, just no big deal retirement. So with that, that's why I'm like, I totally 1000% disagree with Stephen A. Smith when he says, when you retire, I won't be talking about you because you won't be important. Nah, there's absolutely no way.
Won't be talking about you much when you stop playing. But as long as you're playing, I'm going to talk about you because that's my job. And I'm going to be very objective about it. You deserve praise, I'm going to give it to you. You deserve criticism, I'm going to give that too. But at least I'm going to tell the truth instead of lying like LeBron James has been lying. LeBron is the culprit here. But far be it for me to say that about King James. Kings don't get blames. I guess that's why he's not my king. I got more to say about some things he said about other people during this interview with Pat McAfee in a minute. This is what happens when it comes to LeBron James. And by the way, this is the thing that is just so funny. Weeks ago when I got annoyed at something he said, he was talking about people shitting on the game every day. Wasn't it LeBron James that shitted on the NBA in the play-in tournament?
Yep.
Wasn't it LeBron James that showed up and notified the NBA at the last minute that he wasn't going to be participating in NBA All-Star Weekend? I don't know whether it was because he didn't like its new format or not.
Real quick, one of the things you're going to notice, there's a theme here that you'll hear through Stephen A's commentary as well as through the commentary of the Unsportsmanlike crew. And what you're going to hear is a constant demonstration of LeBron James's hypocrisy. You'll see what I mean as we go on.
Wasn't it LeBron James who were reportedly sitting in the locker room with players and Dr. J and Larry Bird talked to the players about playing hard and giving the fans what they want to see and how important All-Star Weekend was? And the NBA thought that the players really, really had bought in until LeBron James gave the players a side eye. And then all of a sudden they went out and allowed almost 400 points to be scored.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? So what I don't get, one, you heard Stephen A talk about how LeBron James was getting on him a couple of weeks ago for being part of the media that craps on the game all the time, right? But then you hear Stephen A giving examples of how LeBron James himself is crapping on the game. And what's something else that I've said? I've said that I don't believe LeBron James loves the game. I believe he loves what the game does for him and has given him. I don't believe he truly loves the game of basketball, right? But it's been so lucrative for him. and it's been giving him everything he wants, right? The attention, the adulation, the money, the fame, all of those things. He's like, man, I got to keep getting this. It's like a drug, right? So anyway, you've got that. Then here's my other question. The NBA said that they believe that the players had bought in a couple years ago after Dr. J, Big O, and Larry Bird, because I believe the All-Star game was in Indianapolis. Yeah. And 2 years ago. So they believe that those guys went in, talked to the players, and you heard what Stephen A said. They believe the players bought in. Then LeBron basically gave them the side eye, and then they went out and gave no effort. My question is, what kind of freaking power does LeBron have over the players in the NBA that he could look at them and they're not going to go out there and compete? What could he have done to them if they went out there and played hard and played a good game of basketball for the fans and for the All-Star game? What could he have done? Come in there, curse them out, got mad? Like, seriously, what type of power does this guy have? I mean, one thing I've always said, LeBron has power over people's minds, right? Because you see how people behave when it comes to this dude. So clearly he has some type of mental power over the LeBroniacs and others, right? I get that. But other players, how is he controlling what other players do? If that's the case, that's disgraceful. Let's carry on.
In the last All-Star game before this one just passed in 2025. Wasn't that LeBron? I told y'all when he took his talents to South Beach, ain't nobody going to say I had a complaint about that. My complaint was about Kevin Durant going to Golden State after being up 3-1, losing the series to them, and then joining them a month later. But we've been past that. We've been over that. And I wish Kevin Durant nothing but the best. Clownish comments about me and all. But LeBron James, I certainly never had a problem with LeBron James going to Miami. Nothing's more special than South Beach. And that brother had me at South Beach 4 consecutive Junes. I was grateful to LeBron James. I wasn't mad. But when he decided to take his talents to South Beach and did so without showing the decorum and respect of at least giving Dan Gilbert a heads up that was what he was going to do, because he decided to, run an event essentially with Jim Gray sitting down, and he talked about generating over $2.5 million for a worthy cause. Fair enough.
So, all right, two things here, right? Definitely respect due for the money he was able to raise for the Boys and Girls Club, right? I respect that. But here's the flip side. And let me be clear. LeBron, as a free agent, absolutely had the right to go wherever he wanted to go that was able to make it work contractually in the NBA, right? I get that. But he rants and raves on the $2.5 million that he was able to raise for the Boys and Girls Club. But what about the monetary value, the monetary damage that he did to the city of Cleveland, especially the downtown area when he left? Y'all can do the research on that. It's way more than $2.5 million. Just something to think about. So, when LeBron rants and raves about that 2.5 mil, yeah, you did that. Great job. But you also did the city of Cleveland a hell of a lot of damage when you decided to roll out. Cleveland is not Chicago or New York or Los Angeles that has the gravitas and the money to be able to withstand it if one major star leaves. It's Cleveland. But anyway, again, he had the right to go where he wanted to go, but he's being disingenuous when he talks about the 2.5 milli raised while totally wrecking the economy of the city of Cleveland in the downtown area. But that's, again, something that you guys can check out, because I know I'm just a hater and I'm sure a bunch of you won't believe me. Let's carry on.
But it being televised on ESPN and ultimately making his announcement that he was taking his talents to South Beach. Did y'all remember what happened in the aftermath of that? Remember a collective bargaining negotiation that followed where players were stripped of 7% of basketball-related income? I mean, Commissioner Stern and those guys were coming forward anyway, but nevertheless, their angst to do so definitely was heightened after that. Mm-hmm. Remember when Chris Paul got moved and got traded to the Los Angeles Lakers, but Dan Gilbert, who had nothing to do with the deal whatsoever, wrote an open letter to the league going absolutely ballistic as to how the Lakers could get the very, very best player in that trade, which was Chris Paul, and basically come out with not even having to pay but so much for it. They were actually making money while trading for Chris Paul and acquiring Chris Paul in the process. And David Stern, the de facto owner for the New Orleans Pelicans at the time, because obviously they didn't have new ownership, so the league de facto owned it for the moment in time, nixed the deal. Well, why was Dan Gilbert so insistent on not minding his business and speaking out against this so vociferously? Because he was still pissed off at how he was treated by LeBron James. See, LeBron gets his money, but there's collateral damage that he leaves in his wake all over the place.
So this is funny because I have another friend, real sharp businessman and all that. And we've been talking about this for years. He's talking about how LeBron did so much for the players. And I've always said, no, LeBron didn't do anything for the players. And he always argues, well, LeBron showed them how to be able to take their destiny in their hands. He showed them how to get their money, how to structure contracts. I'm like, listen, LeBron didn't do any of this out of altruism for others. LeBron did this out of selfishness for himself. Why? He wanted to put players in a position that any players that he wanted to get his hands on and bring to a team he was on, they would be available. So he coached them up on how to work their contracts. He didn't do it out of some sense of, I'm truly trying to empower all these different players, right? If that was a byproduct, great, but that wasn't his initial intent. And you heard what Stephen A says, right? LeBron gets his money, but he always leaves what? Collateral damage in his wake. And Stephen A is breaking down how that has happened.
And other players don't usually see that until it's too late. But we don't talk about that because he's box office. And he's phenomenal, and he's on the Mount Rushmore of basketball, and where he goes, ratings follow. And because of that, we gloss over those facts. But those ain't the only facts we gloss over. When LeBron talked about the media weeks ago, what does he do now? He comes on Pat McAfee Show today and listen to what he had to say.
All right, before we get into that, so LeBron is complaining about the media, right? He's complaining about the media, but guess what? LeBron, this is why I say he's a hypocrite. LeBron has used the media to his own ends for the past 25 years. He's used the media to his own ends. He now has a production company, so he's part of the media technically, right? So he complains about the media, but guess what? He uses them whenever he needs them for something, right? He's complaining about the media right now, but he's on Pat McAfee utilizing a major media platform to get his stance out, right? To get his point of view out, to say what he has to say. You see the hypocrisy there? You see the disingenuousness? Do you see it? It's all right there for you. I know a lot of LeBron fans, they're not going to be trying to hear what I have to say, but guess what? I'll say the same thing every time. Tell me something I'm saying that's not true. I'll wait.
Listen closely. Check it out.
See a lot of shit too. Like I seen Brian Windhorst on one of these shows not too long ago. Like
Wendy.
Yeah, you played over high school.
Wendy, you guys played together in high school.
Yeah,
right? He was on your high school.
This guy was like, says he's like my best friend. These guys are just weird.
So Stephen A is about to really tear into him on this, but I'll briefly say it. And I touched on this in the show that I did breaking down LeBron's whole interview. Of all the people in the mainstream media you could have attacked, it was Brian Windhorst. Brian Windhorst, the dude who has basically, he's half a step below Nick Wright and Shannon Sharp in his warship for you. And that's the dude you choose to attack. Let's go on.
I have worked with Brian Windhorst for years. Never once did he school. But that's how he talked about him. Brian Windhorst is an exceptional commentator who does a phenomenal job for ESPN. My show, Get Up, NBA Today, Sports Centers, goes and covers the game. He is one of the elite people covering the NBA in this world. And nobody, I repeat, nobody defends LeBron James more than that man. And look at what LeBron James did. Y'all have watched Wendy Report years. Tell me one time, tell me one thing that Brian Windhorst has done to negatively impact LeBron James.
Remember what I said, y'all. I said it on this episode. I've said it on numerous other episodes. If you're not immediately of use to LeBron, he could throw you to the side no matter what you've done for him previously. And we're seeing it right now. Brian Windhorst, one of his biggest advocates, he just crapped on him too. We're seeing it. What do I always say? All I got to do is sit back, be patient. LeBron's going to prove me right. Let's carry on.
One, take your time. I'll wait. Nobody is more fair. Nobody digs deeper, maneuvers through the crevices to find the positive about LeBron James, no matter what the story is. But that's how LeBron talked about him. He doesn't stop there, though. He also went into today's players compared to yesteryear. I thought that was a subject he didn't want to touch.
Right? Isn't he the same guy always complaining when people like me, I'm not going to say we, when people like me complain about the modern NBA and compare it to the previous generations, right? He doesn't want anything to do with that. He doesn't like that. But guess what he's going to go ahead and do?
I thought that we should just have an appreciation for the game and not really compare.
That's what
LeBron
he said.
James was one of the people that told us that until he had the platform to vent. And look at what he said.
Every single day that he's better, he's not better. He wouldn't. You trying to tell me Giannis wouldn't be able to play an NBA game in the 70s?
I think he wouldn't be able to do it.
Giannis,
neither would you. Neither would you.
Giannis Antetokounmpo would have 250 points in a game in the 70s. 250.
So first, right? Obviously, he was being facetious when he said 250, but clearly he believes that Giannis would be some unstoppable force. Did he forget that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was in his prime in the 70s? Did he forget about guys like Artis Gilmore and Nate Thurmond? Did he forget about elite scorers? Matter of fact, the only man ever to lead the NBA, ABA, and Division I basketball in scoring, Rick Barry, was in the 70s. Did he forget about Wilt Chamberlain, right? He forgot he played in the 70s. Jerry West played in the 70s. Where's LeBron getting this stuff from, right? And let's be real here. If Giannis, I'm assuming LeBron means if you took Giannis as he is now and dropped him in the 70s, he would dominate. How would he do that? Remember I said on the previous show, how would he do that? Giannis wouldn't do that because he kept getting pulled for all the turnovers. One, they wouldn't allow him to play point forward. That's one. Second, when he tried to dribble, all those carries that he does, he would get called for turnovers. All that traveling that he does, he would get called for turnovers. And I'm a Giannis fan. I'm a big fan of Giannis, but I can be objective, right? So he'd barely be on the floor. And when he was on the floor, the coach would tell him, get your big butt on the block and go to work. And Giannis is not a low post dominant player. He doesn't have that in his arsenal. So where are these 250 points? Obviously, he's exaggerating, but still, where are all these points coming from that LeBron is talking about Giannis would have? Somebody explain that. Exactly. No, I totally get you, Steve. I was just, you know me, like I'm a words matter guy. So when you say stuff, I'm going to break it down. And when LeBron says things, I'm going to dismantle it because he says a lot of dumb things, plain and simple. Cali Observer says LeBron has never heard of those guys. He likes cookies, but he's a couple cookies short of a full pack. Oh, man. Goat Cast Hoops. He would have 5 fouls before 20 points. Unfortunately, yes. And again, I'm a Giannis fan. I love Giannis as a player. I love how hard he goes. I love how hard he works. But the facts are the facts. He would have the 5 fouls and probably 5 turnovers as well. So, we got to stop this. But let's get back to Stephen A's comments.
Perhaps. But wasn't that disrespectful to the pioneers who paved the way for this game? Ladies and gentlemen, would Julius Erving have been who he was if it were not for Connie Hawkins?
No.
Would Michael Jordan had a model to emulate and elevate beyond if it were not for Julius Erving?
No.
What about Vince Carter when it comes to Michael Jordan? What about Kobe Bryant when it comes to Michael Jordan? What about Shaq when it came to Wilt? Or Kareem? Or Olajuwon? What about the Birds of the world? When you think about Jerry West, when you think about somebody like that, the Kobe's of the world, the MJs of the world, there was no Elgin Baylor or Oscar Robertson before them. You see, the point is you use previous greatness to measure what the level of greatness is currently as times have evolved, and you show an appreciation for it. You don't get upset because people are out there comparing one to the other. You're talking about championships. You're talking about leadership. You're talking about durability, which obviously LeBron is tops at. Not only capabilities, which he's on the Mount, that's why he's on the Mount Rushmore. I could simply sit up there and say, you know what? Giannis would have got his. Giannis would have been great, but he also would have got knocked on his ass a lot, and he would have went to the free throw line, and the free throw line was his Achilles heel, with the exception of that Game 6 closeout against Phoenix in the finals. Free throws have always been his Achilles heel, but he's phenomenal. We're able to look and we're able to say, as we look at the great Allen Iverson and we look at some of the great small guards in NBA history, we also have to take time to pause and remind them about this dude named Isaiah Thomas, who was phenomenal with a heart and guts and a leader of the physical bad boy Pistons. We look at the game. We talk about Steph Curry, the greatest shooter God has ever created. Oh, by the way, he plays a point guard. And oh, my Lord, the greatest point guard. And then a guy like Eddie Johnson for NBA Today or NBA Radio on Sirius XM reminds us all, wait a minute, my definition of a point guard is a quintessential floor facilitator, a floor general who facilitates for others, facilitates opportunities for others. That's why Steph Curry can't get that. That's got to be Magic Johnson. It's a crime to bring up history, to look at the game and to compare it and to have an opinion about it when the conversation unquestionably and undeniably involves greatness. If you're not great, you're not a part of that conversation. Nobody views that as a crime. But that man that showed up on Pat McAfee Show today, because he must be the GOAT. It can't be anything else. You lost 6 NBA finals. There is the finals against Dallas that you specifically choked in. 4 consecutive fourth quarters of an NBA final series against Dirk Nowitzki and the Dallas Mavericks with Jason Terry or JJ Barea, who resembled Mini-Me standing next to you, guarding you, and you averaged 2.2 points in the fourth quarter. As great as you are. Had nothing to do with your skill. Had nothing to do with their zone defense. Had nothing to do with your capabilities. Had everything to do with your heart. The rest of us didn't have the skill. You had everything, but also a 10-man syndrome at that time.
Wow, Stephen A. He coming out with it. He said LeBron had tiny heart. Wow. I love it. You know, it's the only thing I got to say about this. It's really weird that all of a sudden you're hearing all these people tell the truth, which means they've known it all this time. They just didn't want to say it. Face of the league, what's good, what's good? Good to see you here. Giannis would not destroy any error. You got to stop that. You're being disingenuous, bro.
Once you learn to win, nothing can stop you. If we only went about LeBron, if we only looked at LeBron James' career since he won his first championship, ladies and gentlemen, we could have the GOAT conversation. Because since he started winning, my God, it is what it is. But before that heart transplant that he needed, it is my belief Michael Jordan would have been in the hospital blocking the door every single time, figuratively speaking, to prevent him from having that heart transplant. He'd have shut him down, took his heart right out of his chest, and wouldn't have allowed him to have another heart. That's the difference. That's how I feel. Others may think differently. Clearly that man does. And y'all go just sit here and act like that had nothing to do with him getting in my face. No. Remember how I told y'all a story about I'd look at Rich Paul and them and I say, damn it, I got him on the Mount Rushmore. I got him number 2 all time. And y'all act like it's an insult. And Rich Paul looked at me and said, it is an insult. Where you get that from? Not to say that Rich Paul doesn't think for himself, because I know he does. But that man feels that way. No, he doesn't like me. I don't like him either. My feelings about him are what they are, and is based on personal interactions and what I've seen in terms of how I believe he's treated others. It's my opinion. It's none of anybody's business beyond that.
See, this is what I don't like. It's your opinion. It's none of anyone's business beyond that. But it's disingenuous of you to bring this stuff up and then say it's none of anyone's business. I would love to know what is the deal with this business of him mistreating people, like other than what we can obviously see, but that, you know, the LeBroniacs ignore, right? All the coaches fired, all the players traded, you know, all the disrespectful moves and all that stuff. I'm really curious to know. But yeah.
His feelings are about me talking about basketball, and y'all gonna let him get away. You're trying to classify me as somebody who would talk about him as a dad as if I exposed something that was happening in the privacy of their home in Brentwood somewhere, as opposed to me talking about what's going on in a Lakers uniform at the Crypto.com arena or elsewhere. Y'all gonna let him get away with that? Y'all go right ahead. I don't have to broach this subject anymore, but I will broach LeBron James any damn time I please. As long as he's playing this game, he's a relevant sports news topic.
So I'm not going to turn this into a Giannis debate, right? That was just part of Stephen A's commentary, but I see some of you guys discussing it in the comment section here, and I appreciate the interaction. But face of the league, let's be real here. You're forgetting Wilt Chamberlain played in the 70s. You're forgetting Nate Thurmond played in the 70s, man. Those guys were, you ever hear that expression, old man strength? There were some real strong dudes going, playing in the NBA back then. Giannis, I don't care how strong he is. He wasn't stronger than Wilt. I mean, we know that. You can go back and read and listen to what guys had to say about Wilt yourself. I'm not going to run that down. But anyway, those were Stephen A's comments. And again, I'm really curious to know. Those were part of Stephen A's comments, but I'm really curious to know when he talks about how he mistreated black reporters. I'm curious to know what he means when he talks about the snake moves that LeBron has pulled over time. I'm curious to know, all these little things that he's saying that we don't know the half and that he can't tell us. I'm very, very curious to know. So face of the league. I get that Giannis is a freak athlete, but what you're telling me is that Giannis would put Wilt on a poster with a running start. That's what you're telling me. If you believe that, I don't know what to tell you, brother. Let's see. Cali Observer says, funny how Bruce used to point out how Stephen A. Smith used to basically have to run down all the nice things about LBJ before saying anything about his game. I guess that's out the window now. Well, I guess so. Wow, you believe that Giannis would put Wilt on a poster? Oh, okay. Especially older Wilt. Older Wilt blocked the sky hook. So, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Older Wilt was still getting 18 rebounds a game. Older Wilt was still a beast. But, I mean, you are certainly entitled to your opinion, my man. But again, I appreciate your feedback and your commentary, man. It's good stuff. All right, y'all. So we heard what Stephen A. had to say, and I love that he's been pushed to the point that he's finally, he's not willing to play along anymore and that he's telling the truth. I love what I'm seeing and hearing from him. Now, does that mean I agree with everything he's saying? No, but I agree with a lot of what he's saying, specifically in regards to this whole LeBron thing. All right. So now let's go and let's switch to Unsportsmanlike, again, with Chris Canty, Michelle Smallman, and Evan Cohen discussing this whole LeBron and Stephen A. thing. And you're going to hear this stuff that I cut, and they are specifically responding to, his being LeBron James's commentary on the Pat McAfee Show. So this was really good stuff, and they had some interesting stuff to say as well. And like I said, I really wanted to share that. So let's go ahead.
LeBron James interview with Pat McAfee yesterday. We're going to continue to go through some of the sound relative to what LeBron had to say, because he certainly gave us a lot with Pat and the crew yesterday. Former players covering the game, speaking only from a talent perspective, is something that he weighed in on yesterday with Pat McAfee.
You and your league has the most absurd chatter.
Oh, my goodness.
It really does.
It is every single day. And then you realize, you was like, I'll be looking at it and I hear it. I'm like, those guys a lot of those guys that played the game or did not play the game, it was just they played the game while they were talented. I don't think they ever thought the game. I don't think they were ever smart. I just think they were bigger and stronger and maybe faster at the time, and they dominated. And when it was over, it was over.
I got to be honest.
LeBron is really that guy that consistently his whole move and his whole team's move is denigrate everybody else. It's going to make me look better. Like, that's how this guy moves. And honestly, that's kind of sad, because I'll say it. You've heard me say it time and again. If he was what he says he is, he wouldn't need to be doing all of this. But let's go ahead.
If I was a former, he can make fun of Smalls and I in terms of, they don't know the game because they didn't play at a high level. Yeah. Probably right? Sure. Like, we don't. Breaking news, we don't know the game like LeBron James does.
And
we'll wear that one. Ever lived. To just assume that ex-players just talk and they're not smart. I mean, are you offended by that as an ex-player?
I am, but I thought he was specifically talking about basketball players.
I know, but I'm just saying in general.
Because you put a lot into your craft.
I do. I think it's incredible.
Do you think basketball players just talking are not smart?
No, absolutely not. I think it's incredibly self-serving for LeBron James to go that route, though,
Absolutely.
Because it's almost purporting himself to be this basketball savant, that he's the only one that's capable of thinking the game and utilizing his mind as the driving force as to why he can still play the game at a high level. Mm-hmm. We've seen plenty of players, even though the elevator is going down when it comes to their overall athleticism, still be able to hang in the NBA and hang in other sports leagues because of what they know. What they know allows them to continue to compete. What they know allows them to continue to be great. I just don't understand why LeBron James thinks he's the only athlete to have ever done that.
Exactly. But this is the whole point behind the way LeBron talks, how he talks, and the way Clutch Sports and their agents in the media talk, how they talk. The whole point is to denigrate everybody else so that LeBron believes that he appears to, be higher. And that's what it really is. But, let's go on.
Brady won a championship in his 40s.
Yeah.
That just happened. It wasn't because of his athleticism. Hell, Tom Brady was never a great athlete, but certainly not in his 40s. He was still able to win a championship. And now he talks about the game on another network.
Yeah.
It bothers me to no end that a lot of the things that LeBron takes umbrage with end up being talking points that are self-serving in terms of enhancing what he's doing.
So again, the hypocrisy, right? You're hearing it time and time again. All these points these guys are making. First, Stephen A. Now you're going to hear this unsportsmanlike crew. They're clearly demonstrating LeBron's hypocrisy because LeBron does not like when people diss him or his generation, but he's very quick to do it to others. The hypocrisy is very much standout. Let's see. He's saying Shaq was bigger than everyone, but dumb, which is why he wasn't elite at 40. What does that have to really? No, Shaq understood ball, right? The reason he wasn't elite at 40 is because he was gigantic. He was a man mountain. His body couldn't deal with that, right? That's two different things. I kind of see which way you lean, face of the league, and you're certainly entitled to that. But I definitely see which way you lean when you make your commentary.
In building his overall legacy. And I don't know that there's a need for him to do that because we always say that it's him and Michael Jordan in the room and nobody else when it comes to the greatest basketball players to ever lace him up.
Which is absurd. LeBron and Jordan in the room and nobody else. We're not even going to get into that, but that is an absolute untruth. But again, these guys, even while being disrespected by him, they still have to toe the party line. That's the crazy part.
I guess that's why I'm surprised at the sensitivity, I guess we could say.
Yeah.
Because even though we analyze LeBron's performances, we analyze his career, there's always the caveat of he's one of the two best players to ever do this. That is basically a universal thought process, especially when it comes to the media. But we don't have to say that game in and game out. We can talk about things on an individual basis or analyze things that you say night to night while still having that overarching theme of we recognize your ultimate greatness.
Face of the league, here's the thing, right? You can like the fact that Bron wants to get Stephen A. Smith out of there. You're anti-Stephen A. Smith. And again, totally entitled to that. My problem is this. Whether you're anti someone or not, you can be anti someone, but you still have to acknowledge when they're saying things that make sense or they're saying things that's true. Just like you can acknowledge when they're saying things that don't make sense or they're saying things and they're lying, right? So whether you like someone or not, if what they're saying makes sense, it makes sense. If what they're saying is true, it's true. I can detest someone as much as I detest them, but if they say 1 + 1 is 2, that doesn't make it wrong because they're the person that said it. And so when people are like, oh, I'm anti-Stephen A. Smith. Okay, cool. But does that make so much of what he's saying in this situation wrong? Really? That doesn't make sense. But let's continue.
And I'm just a little surprised that somebody who knows where his place is, not only currently in the game, but in the history of this game, would care that much what people have to say.
Well, he cares because he told us himself he was chasing ghosts. And now with him being in the twilight of his career, it's becoming evident that he's never going to surpass Michael Jordan. So what do? You do say everything that you can. You frame everything that you can. So it tries to bring you closer to that rarefied air.
So they've been pushing this nonsensical narrative all these years that LeBron can catch Mike. LeBron is good as Mike. Some people say LeBron is greater than Mike. They've been pushing this all these years. But now, because LeBron is getting out of pocket, now they decide to tell the truth. This is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Like, this is the same stuff I've been saying for how many years now? Come on, man.
That's what it is. That's all this is about. And any type of criticism toward LeBron James it feels like is perceived based on what he's been saying as something that's disrespectful to his body of work or disrespectful to this era of basketball. And I just don't get it.
I wish he would have just said, I don't like the Celtics.
Face of the league, you say nobody wants Stephen A. Smith in the industry anymore. Do you know a lot of people in the industry that are saying that? Have you heard a lot of people in the industry saying that? I'm just curious to know. I mean, you're speaking definitively, so I'm just curious to know if you know something we don't. If you do, I would love to hear it.
Instead of just talking about players, he's just talking about Kendrick Perkins and Paul Pierce. Those are the two most critical people of him in terms of his career. You know why? Because they were rival. Paul Pierce, I think, because of the rivalry. And Paul Pierce, I'm a Heat fan, never says good things about the Heat because I understand, they were rivals. It's hard.
Deprogram.
You can't get that out of your brain. And
actually, Paul Pierce is now, he's really I'm trying to find a word to use that's not inappropriate, but let's say Paul Pierce he's washing LeBron's feet very, very often now. I find that strange, but when you're a member of the NBA media, I'm sure they tell you certain things that you have to push in order to help continue to grow the game. So, yes, indeed, Steve. Yes, indeed. But yeah, Steve, you're an idiot. But yeah, Paul Pierce is not critical of LeBron at all anymore, and he said that I've heard him say on the show with KG a number of times that LeBron might be the GOAT now. I think he recently said that if they play the Celtics in the finals and beat them, then he's definitely the GOAT. I'm like, come on, man. This stuff is absurd.
Kendrick Perkins is the target for people, which I don't think is 100% fair because he always speaks his opinion. I can't deal with the Celtics guys talking about me. Just say it that way. Who else are you talking about? Tell me who else are you talking about? Because I'm ex-players. So who else is really critical of him or has been critical? Barkley?
Barkley, Shaq, he might be talking about those guys.
At them. Ain't going to go at them. He goes on with them.
But why isn't he going to go at them?
Yeah, that was my
point. Why wouldn't he go at them?
He's not going to go at them because, like I've always said, he's passive-aggressive and he's soft. He's not going at anybody that has any reasonable size. He has not gone at anybody in the NBA over 22 years. Now he wants to go at Stephen A. Smith because he's, almost a foot, not almost a foot, but considerably taller and bigger than him. He's not going at anybody in the league or anybody that used to play. Seriously? LeBron going to stand there and go at Shaq? He's not doing that. Barkley is old. He's not doing that. He's not going at anybody. Think about this, right? Remember, he supposedly got on Stephen A. talking about you crapping on my son. He didn't say crapping, but you know what he said. Stop crapping on my son, right? Okay, cool. K. Perk talked about his son. He didn't run up on K. Perk. Tim Hardaway Sr. is a 6'1" point guard, right? Tim Hardaway Sr. is the one who originally dropped the news and spilled the beans about the fact that LeBron called the McDonald's All-America people and got Bronny put on the team. We didn't hear anything about LeBron running up on Tim Hardaway Sr., and Tim Hardaway is 6'1". He's 6'1". No, Nino, I'm not acting like they're going to fight. What I'm saying is LeBron tried to look real tough when he ran up on Stephen A. Where is that toughness on the floor with guys his own size, right? Think about this. I'm not advocating for brothers to be out there fighting, Nino. What I am saying is that in games like basketball, we've all played, right? It gets physical. Testosterone is flowing. Men are going to be men, especially if the game is ever physical. And LeBron always talks about how much he gets hacked, right? He doesn't get the calls. You're telling me all these years getting hacked, he's never going to lose it? He's never going to lose it? Nah, because he doesn't want that smoke with somebody anywhere near his own size. That's what I'm saying. Brian Harkin, you're absolutely right, man. And he's old. But let's carry on.
They're not easy targets. They're above him.
They're above him?
They're more, I don't know if they're more famous, but they're his equals maybe. I don't know.
I see where you're going with that.
Why do people say that Draymond, I love Draymond, but why does Draymond Green go after the guys he goes after and not after Bam knocked him in the nose the other day, not on purpose. He didn't go after Bam. That was Nurkic. I mean, if that was Khalil Ware,
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. It's weird to use the word. It's weird. It's very strange.
He's calling bullies. It's not weird.
But again, in doing so, it framed him in a better light because of what he's shown in terms of his ability to think the game and how that allows him to stay in the game and have this type of longevity and have this type of productivity, because nobody has played into their 40s and been as productive as LeBron James. So with the Mind the Game podcast and the shop and Uninterrupted, all of the propaganda pulpits that LeBron James has at his disposal, he uses those things to try to enhance his legacy, to put him closer to Michael Jordan, somebody that he said out of his own mouth that he's trying to compete against in terms of being the greatest of all time. But again, now that he's in the twilight of his career, now that it's becoming more and more likely that he won't eclipse Jordan with the total ring count, that he might not eclipse Michael with his greatness, he's going to do everything that he possibly can to try to close the gap. And that includes using the media platforms that he's been able to develop and the media platforms that are made available to him.
Wait a minute. Might not catch Michael Jordan? Might not? That ship sailed a hell of a long time ago. He never will. and let's just say hypothetically that he did catch Michael Jordan in ring count or whatever. It's taking him how many more years to do all this? Like, people got to look at this stuff objectively, man. This is absurd. Alexander X, what's going on, brother? Good to see you here, man. Thank you for stopping in. I appreciate you. Let's carry on.
By virtue of his stature in the game.
Okay, well, let's operate as if that is his intent, that he's saying these things because he's trying to close the gap and he really wants to get his POV out there. Okay, fine. But these specific comments about former generations, I mean, what's the old adage? Blowing out someone else's candles doesn't make yours burn brighter.
Yeah.
It doesn't make him look more cerebral or smarter and from a basketball sense to rip other people. If anything, it just has us dissect him even more. His desired outcome, I don't think, comes to fruition with these comments.
Oh, absolutely not. It just highlights his insecurity. That's all it does.
So now they know he's insecure? We've been seeing this insecurity for 22 years. Now they know it. This is the thing I keep pointing to. It is amazing to me that all of a sudden everybody's telling the truth now. This is amazing. But what have I been saying? All I got to do is sit back and wait, be patient. He will prove me right. And Edward, stop it, bro. The ring count is not all it is. Stop it. It's the rings. It's the skills. It's the depoy. It's the defensive for first teams. It is the dominance, right? Can LeBron say that he went, 8-year stretch with 2 3-peats and never losing 3 games in a row during that time? Can LeBron say he's got 10 scoring titles? Can LeBron say he's a better man-on defender than Michael Jordan? Stop it. Can LeBron say in his entire career he has never lost in a championship stage? Can he say that? We're not just talking NBA titles. We're talking college championships and international. LeBron never went to college. That's fine, but we can bring up international as well. Come on, man. Stop it. Face of the league, LeBron cannot play 4 positions at an elite level. No, he can't. And you know what? Let me just say, I give you that. There's not real power forwards in the NBA anymore, right? So if you say small forward, I'll give you that. Shooting guard, who are the elite shooting guards in the modern NBA? Point guard, I'll give you that because LeBron's a great passer. Center, no. So come on, man. You got to stop this. This is absurd, the stuff you're saying, man.
I can't imagine that Team LeBron is happy about the fallout that's going to come from the Pat McAfee show. I can't imagine that.
Yeah.
But I think it does, right? Because I think there's such and we shouldn't be living on social media, but there is such a part of basketball fans, people that don't like certain media members that live this, that think LeBron went on there and dunked on everyone. And like, this is the gripes they have with media, like with the media and what it's quote unquote become. There's players, right? That are high-fiving. I bet you there's players that are high-fiving him for everything he said, right? So, like...
Well, then none of them knock on our boss's door ever.
But here's the problem, and that's not true. That's the crazy part about it, right?
Don't go to our bosses and
they all want to come on the worldwide leader of sports. How ironic is that, right? And here's the thing. It's so unoriginal attacking the media. Like, we got calling things witch hunts and all that. Everybody does that now. It's like it's been made cool because of what's been happening in culture, in our society, especially in politics. It's cool to attack the media. Hey, let's attack the big bad media. They never get it right. They're always out with some kind of agenda. No, bro, you got an agenda. With what you did yesterday and going on the Pat McAfee show, that was all about your agenda. That was all about trying to make yourself look good and attacking people that have been critical towards you. People that have not purported themselves to be enemies of you. Hell, Brian Windhorst has made a career out of following you amongst being an insider with the NBA here at this network.
And telling great stories.
And telling great stories around your ascendance.
Absolutely.
Brian Windhorst. That one killed me. Like, what I really thought that there was nothing LeBron could do at this point that would surprise me. That one I was really disappointed in because Brian Windhorst has been your guy for the last quarter of a freaking century. And this is what he does to him. Come on, man.
And you took a shot at him? For why and for what? He never said that he was your best friend. Why do you take a shot at Brian Windhorst? Why? Because it's cool to attack the media. Because it's the easy thing to do now when anybody says anything that you disagree with.
Well, he should lump himself into that because he is the media. He has profited off of his own media ventures, putting his point of view out there, interviewing other people, etc. So you're railing against a system that you're a part of willingly and profit off of. That's my biggest gripe. in all of this.
All right, so there's a whole other part of this. There's an on-court basketball part of this as well, in terms of the era that he plays in versus older eras and what's to come, et cetera. We will dive into that coming up because there's an on-court part that, again, he takes us down a path that is fascinating. Kudos to Pat McAfee and the crew, because an hour and 15 minutes of LeBron James is not something you get normally, and there's a lot to dive into with that. So we were talking about the LeBron James comments with Pat McAfee yesterday and some on-court parts of this. Let's take a listen to what LeBron had to say about every era of the game being respected equally.
We just have to recognize that evolution is just a part of life, man. Like, there's players and eras and things of that nature. Like, we get it, but like, you know, you watch some of the NFL games as well from the 70s and the 80s, and you got like, you know, Jack Lambert and those guys like coming through, like completely decapitate people. You know, like murder. Ronnie Lott tore his pinky off and then went to the sideline. I was like, just tear the rest of it off and get back out there. Like I get it. Like, those are nostalgic moments, but like the game is different, and we should respect all eras in that era.
I'm exhausted just listening to all of this, because who doesn't respect this era of basketball? We're calling LeBron James the second greatest player to ever play in the NBA.
All right, so let me stop right there. I don't respect this era of basketball nearly as much as I respect the previous era. And I definitely am not calling LeBron James the second greatest player to ever play basketball. Neither of those things is true in my case, right? I wouldn't say I don't respect this era. I think I'm understanding of how these elevated statistics have come about in this era. And when you're talking about placing guys in positions of all-time greatness, you have to compare to the previous eras. And if you're looking at a situation, I've talked about it time and again on this show, where things have been made easier for this generation, it makes it a lot harder for me to place them up there with the guys who came before. So, you know, when Canty says, who doesn't respect this era? It's tough to respect it like you respected the past, right? For instance, I'm going to give a quick example, right? Really, Edward? Nah, I'm going to give a quick example, right? So I served in the Army from 2006 to 2015, right? I went to the Iraq War. I served in Germany. I served in Korea, and in the States, right? Very grateful for that opportunity. So, for instance, whenever I see somebody that is a Korean War veteran, I always make sure I stop and really give them their due respect. Why do I give them their due respect? Because those guys are so much tougher than we ever could be, right? We got all this high-tech advanced cold weather equipment because Korea gets so freaking cold. It's a really strange place in the event that, I mean, it's a cool place to be, but it gets super, super hot in the summer, but it gets super, super cold in the winter, right? So anyway, I say all this to say, when you look at the soldiers that served there before, they didn't have all this super high-tech cold weather gear, but they were serving in war, right? They would literally be out there fighting. And when, I know I'm digressing, but I'm making a greater point here. They'd be out there fighting. And when guys got cold, it was so cold that the bodies would freeze up and they would stack the bodies up as windbreaks, right? And so I say that to say they still had to go through, achieve the mission, fight on, and try to win that war, right? And so those guys, even though I served in the Army much more recently, those guys were so much tougher than we were because their degree of difficulty, you hear me talk about this all the time, their degree of difficulty was so much greater than ours. So if I can respect that from even what I did in my own life, why can't I apply a similar methodology to athletics, modern day athletics, right? Just like LeBron when he was talking about Ronnie Lott, when we know that Ronnie Lott had the damage to his pinky and literally had the tip of his pinky, like to the first joint, cut off and wrapped up during a football game so that he could continue to play. What player today is doing that now? What player today? So when we say that we don't look at players today and the game today the same way we look at it in the 90s, that's not disrespecting today. That's simply telling facts. That's all. That's all. You know what I'm saying? Face of the League says, bro, we gave writings from thousands of years ago from people complaining how soft the kids in their current generation are. Absolutely. Each generation gets weaker and softer. So that's what I'm saying. I don't understand why LeBron is so upset and so insulted when people say what they say. That's the whole point of that little soliloquy I gave. Nino, we're not doing that. And Ronnie Lott and Revis played two different positions, so I'm not even doing that. Okay, let's carry on.
How is that disrespect to this era of basketball? How, Sway? How? And here's the deal. When it comes to the comparisons to players across eras, that's what everybody does. Like LeBron on the Pat McAfee Show yesterday talked about sports talk and how he learned about it in barbershops. He would get dropped off and he would spend 3 or 4 hours at the barbershop and hear the discourse in the back and forth. But they're not just talking about players in a specific era competing against one another. They're talking about players across eras and who was greater and who had the best handle, who had the best J, all of those different things. I don't get why LeBron James has been so uncomfortable with the player comparisons. And then just to take it a step further, since he wants to talk about respecting each era of basketball while we're in it.
Real quick. The answer is obvious, Canty, why LeBron James is so uncomfortable in the comparisons, because he knows he does not stand up to Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, and many others. That's why he's so uncomfortable with the comparisons, because he wants so badly for us to believe that he's in the GOAT argument and he's not better than a lot of guys. That's why he's so uncomfortable. This is not difficult. It's really not.
The man said it, now granted tongue-in-cheek, that Giannis would score 250 points in a game in the 70s. How is that respectful to the players that laced him up in the 70s? How? It's not. And that's the frustrating part about hearing it. But you know what? It all goes to serve LeBron James's greater purpose, which is
LeBron James.
LeBron James. Mm-hmm. It's not about being a defender of the history of the sport.
How many times have y'all hear me talk about LeBron James is the most selfish superstar in the history of the NBA? Now it's open. It's out there. The same people that have been defending him all these years, they're forced to tell the truth because he is putting it even more so on Front Street with his behavior and his commentary. You can't hide it anymore. You can't defend it anymore. But this is the same stuff that I was saying back in 2011 and getting called a hater for. This is not new. You can follow my channel all the way back to its inception, for all the way back to the first video with Rob Parker on it, right? And then you can go even further back than that, all the way back to the first audio podcast. And I've been saying the same thing all these years. This is not new. The difference is us independent people have had the freedom and the ability to tell the truth. Meanwhile, LeBron has forced the hands of all these people in the mainstream media to tell the truth. Let's go.
It's not about being a defender of all of the players in the NBA currently. It's about LeBron James being a defender of his legacy. LeBron James being a defender of his agenda. It always has been, and it always will be. And that's why it's so exhausting hearing all of these comments that LeBron James, all of these criticisms that LeBron James has about how the sport is covered.
Yeah, they're criticisms, but they're also contradictions. Just like with the media, you want to complain about how the media covers the game, but you're a willing participant in that media. So that's a contradiction. You want to talk about the game should be respected across several eras, but then you just talk about other eras essentially not being as smart, and you're talking about other eras where current players would dominate. So in the same conversation, you're doing what you're railing against.
Yes.
So notice here, still, they are hesitant and reticent to call it out and call him a hypocrite, right? They're trying to dress it up nicely by saying, well, that's a contradiction. No. It's not a contradiction. He's a hypocrite. He's a hypocrite, but they don't want to say that, right? They're telling all this truth. Just go all the way with it. You don't have to try to cover it up and make it nice now. Just call him a hypocrite, because that's what he is. Oh, that's a contradiction. No, he's a hypocrite. Exactly, Elijah Morris. Exactly. They're dancing around it because they know they have to.
And that's my only issue with it. You can have your perspective, but then keep it 100 all the way through. Don't then fall into the patterns that you're complaining about.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, if Kyrie was back in the 70s, they would have outlawed dribbling. Really, dog? Really? Like,
They didn't do that for Tiny Nate Archibald? He was a bad dribbler? They didn't outlaw it? I didn't know that. Yeah. LeBron also talked about as we mentioned, the players in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and ridiculous to think that current players couldn't play in those eras.
The whole every single day that he's better, he's not better. He wouldn't. You trying to tell me Giannis wouldn't be able to play an NBA game in the 70s?
Handshake. He wouldn't be able to do it.
Neither would you.
Giannis Antetokounmpo would have 250 points in a game in the 70s. 250.
Is that Kuzi? When was Kuzi playing? Kuzi's locking up Giannis, brother.
You say 70s, not 50.
And that's no disrespect. Like, it's no disrespect. But, like, seriously, like,
It's no disrespect. Meanwhile, you're disrespecting him. This is amazing. This guy, he is something else. And the funny part is he's supposed to be a basketball genius, and he doesn't even get it. So the thing is, and they're going to go on and talk about how they believe, they being the Unsportsmanlike crew here, they believe that a great player would be great in any era. Now, I guess that depends on how you frame it. Are you framing it as that great player grew up in that era, or are you framing it as how I see it? Is so many people believe this era is so much more skilled and so far superior. They believe that if you drop the player from this era into a previous era, they would dominate. And if that is the argument, absolutely not. A lot of players, LeBron included, would be in big trouble in previous eras.
Kyrie Irving.
They would have called him a witch. They would have called him a witch.
No, they would have told Kyrie, you're not. You know how they used to tell Lou Alcindor at the time that he couldn't dunk in high school games? Yeah. They would have told Kyrie, you're not allowed to dribble anymore. Mm-hmm. That's what they would have told him.
Well, that's a great job by McAfee and them gassing them up too, isn't it? They're just keeping him going. That's a great job by him.
Also, you say respect all eras, but then in that sentence, you say no disrespect. As you're disrespecting other eras.
1,000%. Make it make sense. The math don't math.
Has anyone said that Giannis couldn't play in the 70s, 80s, or 90s?
Nobody said that.
Great.
Hey, face of the league. Obviously, you're a guy who reps for this era, and you're a big LeBron fan, and I understand that. This is not about matching the energy of the media. This is about his blatant hypocrisy. You don't get to complain about the media, then go and use the media to spread your propaganda when you think it's going to benefit you. How do you not see that? That's the part I don't get.
Nobody said
listen, the greatest players in the sport in all eras would be able to play in all other eras because the assumption would rightfully be that even if the era was different, they'd be trained differently to play in that era. Mm-hmm. So Nuno's a Knicks fan. I hate to do this, but as great as Patrick Ewing was, think about how good he'd be today. Phenomenal shooter, takes 2 steps back. All of a sudden, those buckets he had now count for 1 point more every single game. David Robinson, phenomenal shooter, 2 steps back. What happens? Now it's a 3-pointer. So we didn't have the 3-point line pre-1979. The game would have been different.
And that's the other thing, right? They talk about how what an incredible scorer LeBron James has been throughout his career. And he has, 50,000 career points plus, total between regular season and playoffs. And of course, we've never heard them do that for any other player. But Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I think, has roughly 45,000 career points total, right? And imagine he has 45,000 career points and didn't have a 3-point line for the first half of his career. I'll just let that sit there. We got to stop not taking context into account, man. We got to stop that.
My assumption is if LeBron James played in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s, he would be a first ballot Hall of Fame player. Just like if Willis Reed or Bill Russell or Kareem or Wilt or any of the great bigs then would have played today, I believe they would have been first ballot Hall of Famers.
Real quick, if prime Kareem or prime Bill Russell or prime Wilt, or let's even go up to the 90s, prime, I always talk about prime David Robinson, prime Patrick Ewing, prime young Shaq, prime Alonzo Mourning, and of course,
Hakeem, your dream.
If all those guys play today, just a quick question. Who in the chat thinks Jokic is going off the way he's going off if all those guys played today? Just yes, he would, or no, he wouldn't. I'm just curious to see what the people in the chat think about that, but let's carry on.
They would have played different positions in some cases. Bill Russell would not have been a center.
No.
Right? He's physically built like Tracy McGrady, but he would have been maybe more Dennis Rodman. He would have been maybe more Draymond Green. He would have found a way because he was Bill Bleepin Russell, who won 11 championships as a player/coach to adjust to whatever era it is, just like LeBron would have adjusted to whatever era it is.
Yes.
If you are great at this sport, it is more likely than not you would have been great in any era. You would just have been trained differently for the sport that was being played at the time.
So again, am I misunderstanding what people mean when they talk about a great player would be great in any era? Because again, my what's up, Bruce? My thought has always been that they were referring to if you took a player from today and you dropped them back in that era, this is what they would do. Versus if the player was raised in that era, this is what they would do. Because that's two different things. So I'm really curious to know what most people think about that, because I've always thought, because when you talk about how today's players are so much better and so much more skilled, my thought is when they talk about what a player from today would do back then, it's take the player as he is and drop him in that era, right? Like they take a prime James Harden, who got busy, averaged 36 a game, prime James Harden, and put him 1992. That dude might get 20. I know he'll lead the league in turnovers. I know he'll lead it in travels. I know that. All them carries, all that. Come on, man. Crazy. Laker Nation says Shaq would struggle with the wide open game today. He couldn't guard in space. Here's the difference, though. Laker Nation, what you're forgetting, if Shaq played today, he would foul out everybody. Nobody could deal with that dude. He would force defenses to change to adapt to him. They would be so tired, physically exhausted trying to deal with him. All that wide open space would be completely irrelevant. So like that's not even a thing. I don't even think that matters like at all.
That's it. It's not insulting towards anyone to say that.
But that doesn't serve LeBron James's purpose.
But isn't that what I just said? Was it fair?
It's fair, but it doesn't bring him closer to Michael. It's fair. What you just said is reasonable. It's rational, but it doesn't help him close the gap with the GOAT. That's the reality of it, though, Ev.
But you know what?
Saying respect all eras of basketball. Who doesn't respect this era of basketball?
I hope Patrick Mahomes never gets to this place.
I guess my whole point is, if we're calling LeBron James the second greatest player to have ever lived, inherently built into that comment is respect for this era.
Wait, but I have a question on this. If Michael ever put his arm around LeBron, would his comments be different? If Michael looked at LeBron his entire career as kind of the protege type,
treated him like Kobe,
would this be different?
See, I don't know, because again, it's LeBron's right to say these things and to use any platform that's given to him to get his point of view out there. But what do we love about Michael Jordan? Obviously outside of the sheer dominance, right? It's the intimidation factor. Invincibility. Michael Jordan would take even the slightest comment or something that wasn't even a disrespect, and he would perceive it that way, and it's branded on his brain, and he would use it to enact his revenge on the basketball court. He wouldn't have to go on a media tour to get his point of view out there. You would hear from him on the floor.
And here's the other thing. There's speculation that he used influence to do the same thing.
So wait a minute. Bron is different. He doesn't worship MJ. He absolutely does. He's trying to change the framing now because he wants to push this GOAT narrative, but he absolutely does. He talks about it all the time. Just go back and look at the interviews, man. Come on. Bruce. I talked about this, right? I talked about this maybe on the show yesterday. As a member of the media, it would be disingenuous of me not to be covering the biggest story in sports right now. That doesn't even make sense. That makes no sense. Like, why would I not? Like, y'all talk about that all the time. Oh, Bron feeding families. You media guys loving this. All y'all talk about is Bron. All y'all talk about is Bron. Where are so many of these people when we're not talking about LeBron? Like, and again, as a member of the media, you understand what the big stories are, and you keep them big until they're not big anymore. That's how this works. So, I mean, that's ridiculous. Yes, there are 10 other things going on. I agree, Bruce. But guess what? This is number one. This is on the top of those 10.
Like, now, this is not documented, but there are a lot of people that believe that the reason why Isaiah Thomas was left off of the 92 Dream Team was because Michael didn't want him on there. He didn't. Now, the 92 Dream Team ended up being the greatest assembly of basketball players that ever lived and globalized the game in a way that no other people in the sport ever had. Mm-hmm. So even when Michael Jordan puts his thumb on the scale, it ends up being in the best interest of what happens with the growth of the game of basketball.
Yes.
I can't say that about what LeBron James has done throughout his entire career. It served LeBron James, to Evan's point earlier. I don't know that this puts the game in a better place than it was when the former face of the league, Michael Jordan, stepped away.
Yeah. But one of the things you're suggesting is that he's trying to get his POV out there because he wants to get himself closer to Michael in that debate. But by doing it this way, aren't you inherently separating yourself from Michael in a lot of ways?
Sure. Yeah. And it's interesting what you just said. The Isaiah thing, because I always, like, Isaiah did that to himself. He made his bed, right? He made his bed. The way he treated Michael. Michael then had his payback moment. And in Michael's quote unquote lowest of moments, the way people would look at it, like you're phrasing it, he still did it. He's still, like, in LeBron's like, no, this coach is not going to be here. This coach is going to be, that coach is going to be here. This player's not going to be here. That player's going to be here. A lot of examples of it not working out.
Exactly. It's never not worked out with Michael.
It's a very good way of looking at it. It's a very good, when you exert your power, use it for a reason. And Michael's reasons always ended up pretty damn good.
benefited him, but it also benefited the league as a whole.
There's no doubt. Yeah, this did not sit well with a lot of people yesterday, and it did sit well with others. I mean, I think it's split, obviously, in the way people look at it. One thing you can't knock is tremendous job by Pat and the crew getting LeBron James in studio for an hour and 15 minutes, because guess what? We would all take LeBron James in studio for an hour and 15 minutes. So kudos to Pat McAfee and company as they get LeBron in studio.
Absolutely. That was a mega interview, and that was gigantic for his platform, gigantic for ESPN. That was huge. So not even mad at that. See, here we go, face of the league. So here's the deal. He didn't cook MJ in any scrimmage. He's never played against MJ. If you read the book, the autobiography, the most recent one, not autobiography, the most recent biography about LeBron, there is an excerpt from LeBron's own diary where he says he didn't play against Michael Jordan. But I know that hurts you people. You want to think what you want to think because it makes you feel better, but it's just not true. Charles Oakley also said that never happened. Antoine Walker also said that never happened. There's nobody that says he played against Michael Jordan and cooked him. So, you know, I mean, it is what it is. That's a great point, opinion stated. Not mad at that. But so Bruce, let me say this. Yeah, I've definitely done the shows because, again, it's the biggest story in sports right now, at least in American sports, right? Is the biggest story. So why would I not cover it? You tell me what type of journalist I would be, what type of content creator I would be if I'm not covering the biggest story. So if I wasn't covering this, I guarantee you people would be hitting me, asking me, what do you think about this? Why are you not talking about it, right? That's what we do. That's what we do. That's part of how this thing works. But it is what it is. No, they did not play together, face of the league. They didn't. Just go look that up. It's in LeBron's diary that he was not on the court with Michael. He was actually talking about, I think him and I don't know if it was, I think it was Mav Carter that was with him. They were getting ready to leave and Mike pulled up and then Mike took him in the weight room and they were talking briefly. Mike gave him, told him a couple things and then they went and had dinner. He invited him to dinner. So he did not play with Michael Jordan. He didn't play with him. He didn't play against him. Now, Meta Sanford Artest says that he got busy. Tim Hardaway says he got busy. Charles Oakley said he didn't get in. Antoine Walker says he didn't get in. So you got two saying it happened, two saying it didn't happen. And then, of course, LeBron in his diary said that he didn't play with Michael Jordan. So where that all ends up, I do not know. That's what we got. So, again, I know for LeBron fans which way they want to lean on that, but it is what it is. Okay, so this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to get on here and I wanted to share these comments with y'all. I wanted to give my feedback on it. So I'm going to stop talking because great point, Laker Nation. I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to call in, man, because definitely want to get some of y'all's feedback on this. The number is on the screen, 904-219-8264, 904-219-8264. Come on, call in, give me you guys' thoughts. You've been amazing in the chat. I've loved your interaction, but now it's time to let your voice be heard, man. Call in and give me some of the thoughts that you guys have on this. 904-219-8264. Brian Hawkins says LeBron realizes he's not the GOAT. I think so. And he knows that. He knew years ago. He always knew that he wasn't going to be the GOAT. He's not the GOAT. So he spent the last number of years stat padding to try to change the narrative. Brian Hawkins, I think you hacked my computer, man. Or I don't know, because I've been saying this for a long time. He's building the paper argument. Because he's going to say, well, I got this many MVPs and I got these many points and I got these many records. So even though I've lost more finals appearances than any other former MVP, they still going to have to call me the GOAT, right? Because if he was the GOAT, really, why is it that every time he does something else, his fans say, well, this makes him the GOAT? Well, I thought that previous thing made him the GOAT. What's going on, your favorite hater? How you doing, man? How you doing? For instance, right? 50,000 points. Well, this makes him the GOAT. Well, I thought when he passed Kareem to be the all-time leading scorer in regular season, that made him the GOAT. And I thought when he came back from the 1-3 deficit, that made him the GOAT. Like, what are we doing? What makes him the GOAT? Laker Nation, what's good, my brother? How are you? Hello? I can't hear you.
Am I on?
There we go. Okay. What you got, Laker Nation? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. Just walked in the door and he was on TV talking.
I try, man. I try.
So I figured I'll call it. I missed half of the show, so I really don't know everything about what's going on.
Okay.
I just figured I'd call in because nobody picked up the phone yet.
No doubt. Yeah, check the replay after this, man. Basically, we talked. I played some of Stephen A's clapback after LeBron's interview, about 12 minutes of that, and then I played some commentary that I thought was really interesting from Unsportsmanlike on ESPN yesterday morning with Evan Cohen, Michelle Smallman, and Chris Canty, and they had a lot of good stuff to say. So.
Oh yeah, I heard that part when I came in.
Okay.
That was doing clapback on that.
Yeah, they was saying the same stuff I've been saying for years.
Man, you gotta watch Opinion Stated show too about how he covered the last man. He had everything spot on too.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to it yet, man. He knows I'm gonna check that out. I just haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah, I posted this. It was posted this morning. I checked it out this morning while I was at work. So.
Good stuff.
Everything was spot on.
Yeah, science, man.
All I got, man. I don't want to. I can't speak for everybody else. When it comes to me, miss me with any broad arguments about him being the best player ever. I don't want to hear it. It's going to go in one ear. It's going to go one ear and out the other.
Mm-hmm. But don't you know he's 40, Laker Nation? What can you expect?
Man. I can dispute that argument all day.
I'm just saying what they say.
They're gonna call in, they're gonna call you a hater, and they're gonna, spit their nonsense and support their guy.
Right.
But after last night, there's no way you can sugarcoat blowing a 5-point lead with 9 seconds left in the game.
Yeah, I thought Reggie
when all three mistakes was your fault.
That's the crazy part, isn't it? That is crazy. Yup.
I don't give a damn how much he apologizes. You blew the fucking game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
I give him a slight pass on, no, I'm not even going to do that because, they didn't have no timeout. Somebody had to get up and pressure the ball.
Mm-hmm.
They were going to shoot alone. Yeah, that was like a 1 in a million shot that he made it.
Right.
But in those situations, you don't leave shit up to chance.
No. Let me ask you this, Laker Nation, as I got you on. Do you think that last shot was more on LeBron or that JJ Redick should have had those guys ready in that situation as a head coach? I mean, he's a rookie head coach.
I'm only blaming the last 9 seconds of the game on him because the rotation, his rotation left the open guy on the. I can't remember who shot that 3 in the corner, but that was his rotation.
Was it Kobe White?
No, it wasn't Kobe White that shot that.
He hit the second one. Okay, I got you.
No, he made the second one.
Mm-hmm.
That turnover was 1,000% his.
Yes, he threw it right to him.
I can't remember if we had any timeouts or not, but Austin Reeves was double teamed while you throwing the ball up behind him on the bounce pass. Like, shit, my 12-year-olds don't even make that damn mistake.
Nah, that's a fact. I will say that was a real good take by Austin Reeves to take the lead there. That was a real
Austin Reeves on one ankle got us the lead back.
Yeah, I got to give that guy credit, man. That was an outstanding finish. Yeah, right down the lane. He sliced right down. I said, whoa, okay. That's a good finish. But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But let me tell you the rules of basketball. When you got to go full court to hit a 3, you stay back to half court, and you pressure the ball to not give open a wide open 3. If they shoot that shit from the back court, you live with the result.
Right, absolutely.
But once it gets cross half court, you pressure the ball, no foul, and you don't give up an uncontested shot.
Well, even to that point, you put a little pressure on it in the backcourt to at least make them use a little more time. Time was the enemy there, so there's that part as well. But I hear you.
No, this is the NBA. These guys are elite athletes.
Yeah, but I mean,
you should put too much pressure in the backcourt. You get the risk of somebody, getting free, And it's the NBA. They can make tough shots all day.
No, they can, but I'm thinking about the pressure in the backcourt just to use a little more time. I'm not talking about, like 40 minutes of hell Nolan Richardson or Rick Pitino, 40-minute full court press. I didn't mean it like that. I just meant in terms
you can pressure the pass from the out of bounds. You can do that.
Mm-hmm.
But Giddey was wide open. Nobody was covering him at all.
Yeah.
But I know this show wasn't about that. They hit spot on what I heard.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're saying you're not going to disrespect
mm-hmm.
the previous era, then you turn around and disrespect the era in the very same system.
Look, it's the guy's a hypocrite. He's been a hypocrite. He's just now they're more willing to call it out. This is not new. I've been saying this for years.
And he should keep Giannis' name out of his mouth because Giannis owns him. We haven't beat the Bucks, I don't think, with Giannis and him on the floor at the same time. We haven't beat the Bucks, I don't think, since we won the chip.
Right.
So he needs to keep Giannis' name out of his mouth. Unless he was going to show him respect. Saying he'll average 250 points, in my eyes, I don't think that was being respectful of Giannis.
Not at all. I mean, obviously he was being facetious, right? Obviously, but still, apparently he forgot that Wilt Chamberlain and Nate Thurman and Bob Lanier and Artis Gilmore, all these dudes were playing in the 70s. They were just going to let Giannis do whatever he wanted to do, huh? That's what they think? That's what it's going to be?
No, I've been doing a little bit more studying on the 70s, and a lot of stuff you see today, minus the gather stuff you saw back then.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, yeah, granted, so not all the guys was as skilled across the board, but the main guys were doing what you see today.
Bro, Pistol Pete imagine what Pistol Pete would do today. Somebody, I'm going to digress for a quick second. So we know Pistol Pete averaged 44 a game in college at LSU, right? Now, granted, his pops was the coach, so he got all the shots. But still, I think it was Dale Brown, when he was the coach of LSU, watched the film, went back and tracked all the shots of where Pistol Pete was shooting from. If they had a three-point line then, Pistol Pete would have averaged 58 in college. 58. Imagine what Pistol Pete would do today. All these flashy passes and flashy dribbles and shooting long J's and all that. Imagine him today. Like, we got to stop this foolishness like dudes back then couldn't ball. But anyway, that's a whole different thing. Maybe I should do it.
That's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
But
exactly, Brian Harkin.
But those main guys, like those main guys that you mentioned, they would have adapted and they would have added that snatch back and all that stuff to their repertoire.
Yeah.
Even your Bob Cousy and John Havlicek and those guys, they would have added that. But those guys were dead
with a real crossover. Oh my God, he was a killer then. Imagine you just add a little bit more now. Forget about it.
Yeah, even Oscar Robinson, he was a big guard.
Absolutely.
He was above his time. Him and Jerry West was ahead of their time.
Well ahead of their time.
Because they didn't have no big guards out there doing what they were doing.
That's right.
But they would have adjusted their game if they were born in today's era. They would have adjusted their game to today.
Yeah. No doubt.
But I'm also going to say this, and I'm gonna get off so somebody else can call in.
Okay.
I think you misunderstood what I said about Shaq. When I said he would struggle, I didn't say he wouldn't dominate on the offensive end. I said on defense, with how spread out the game is, he always, even young Shaq, struggled out, guarding out in space against the pick and roll. But all they would do is whoever Shaq is guarding, they would have him leak out to the 3-point line and just stay there.
No, I understand all of that. Well, first of all,
and they will isolate him into the pick and roll all day long.
So you're thinking Lakers Shaq, right? Orlando Shaq can handle that. That's one. But two, my thing is this: when we're talking about Shaq, nobody would have any energy to do anything because of the damage he would do when they're trying to defend him. You wouldn't have anybody to deal with him. So, like, it's the everybody zigging, I'm gonna zag type thing. That would be the difference.
I'm gonna say Again, I think you're misunderstanding what I was saying.
I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is, you as a guy,
Shaq would have even Orlando Shaq did not guard out in space. If he was matched up against Wimby, Wimby would be out there crossing him up at the 3-point line.
Nah, man, I think you forget how athletic and nimble Orlando Shaq was. They will on defense. Shaq is bigger and stronger than everybody. They're not going to sit up there trying to post him up. They're going to spread the floor and make him guard out in space. That's what they would do and neutralize him, neutralize his threat. Okay.
Of being in the paint. He would still get his on the offensive side. But I guarantee you, Jokic wouldn't be guarding him. It will be a power forward.
I don't.
With anybody they guard,
because there are no real power forwards anymore. I don't think you'd have a choice.
Nah, it would have been a power forward that would have been guarding. It wouldn't have been Jokic. It wouldn't. Embiid would guard him to start the game, then they'll switch off to
nobody. Right.
Like that's how they did. That's how they did him when he played in the 2000s.
Yeah, but at least there were still real power forwards back then. There are none now. Everything is distracting.
I'm telling you,
but
Bruce, I'm telling you the strategies that coaches would do.
Oh, okay, all right.
Those were Shaq's weaknesses, guarding in space.
Okay,
they would wear him down and they would push the tempo. Okay. High tempo games would wear Shaq down. He acted like he was in shape too. He was not.
I'm telling you, Orlando Shaq, who was running the floor, absolutely, he could deal with it. But let me let you go. We go back and forth on this all day. I had Nino calling in. Let me go ahead and get him in here too.
Yeah, I thought I was going to get on. I was going to save my last speak.
No, brother. Appreciate the call, man. Thank you so much, Laker Nation.
All right, peace.
All right, brother. Nino, I see you, man. Call back, please. Call back, sir. Let's see. What was I missing in the chat? Rebounding Shaq would kill today with how many bricks? Yeah, I think he would. Nino, what's good, brother?
You already know.
I'm ready. Let's go. What you got?
You know, I'm riding with the arrow. Now, my thing is this.
Yes, sir.
So is we saying everybody can give their opinion on what Bron's thinking for years now.
Okay.
And he come out and give his opinion on a couple things and say how he feel about it.
Right.
And we saying he shouldn't do it. Is that what everybody's saying?
No. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying
is, what's the problem?
I love that LeBron is out here telling us all this. He's telling us. You know why? Because he's proving me right. He's proving everything I've always said about this dude correct. So I am grateful, thankful on a number of fronts. He's giving me content after content after content. And again, he's proving me right. What do I always say, Nino? All I got to do is sit back and wait. He gonna prove me right, and he's done it again.
So what?
I'm glad.
What you feel he proved you right on? When he said Stephen A. going on a Taylor Swift run?
No. He's proved me right by showing his selfishness. He's proved me right by showing his hypocrisy. Right? He's proved me right when we hear him lie constantly. I mean, this is too easy. I've been saying all this stuff about this dude for years. Dismantling.
What did he lie about? What did he lie about?
Okay,
let's break it down a little.
Oh, okay. So first, if he lied on Windhorst. Windhorst has never said that he was LeBron's best friend. He lied there. He lied on one of his biggest supporters in the media. So we know he lied there, right? We know he lied there. We have watched him lie on a number of things throughout the years, right? So I mean, the dude lies a lot. There's that. We've also seen a clear demonstration of his hypocrisy, right? He hates the comparison, but he's comparing other eras, right? In the same interview, we catching him with his hypocrisy. I mean, but hey, man, it is what it is. I know you're a LeBron guy. Yeah, go ahead.
He said this now. He said Brian said. Stop him if Brian didn't say it and Brian lied.
Mm-hmm.
He said Brian said he wear 23 because of MJ. That's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Brian said he signed with Nike because of MJ.
Mm-hmm.
Brian actually didn't tell him that. Brian told you why he signed with Nike. He liked to wear Nike and he signed a $90 million deal. So what I'm saying is Brian figured out the right thing early. Everybody ain't his friend. Brian didn't tell everybody he's his friend. Everybody ain't just because they support Bron. I've been telling y'all about these payrolls. Just because you supporting the guy, that don't mean you on payroll. Y'all support MJ. MJ ain't on y'all payroll yet.
No, so
when he do send me a couple sneakers though.
So let me say this, Nino. In fairness, I support MJ. I'm not actually a Michael Jordan fan. I just understand he's the greatest to ever do it, right? I've actually never had a pair of Michael Jordan sneakers in my entire life. Not one. I never have. I have my own reasons for that, right? But even with all of that, so you can say I support MJ. I don't. I just have him number one in my all-time list. But I'm not a quote-unquote MJ supporter, right? So the thing is, people always look at it and say, well, if you say Michael Jordan's the GOAT, you're a Michael Jordan supporter. I'm not a supporter. I just tell what it is, right? I tell what I see. I tell what I know based on whatever research I do. So I think that's two different things. You tracking what I'm saying, Nino? I
agree with that. And that's and see, everybody getting personal with it. Cause not saying you do, but the guy, the Chris Kennedy guy. But Stephen A said, right? He got a problem because I say he not the GOAT.
Right. And we know that.
Carmelo, now we both say now. Have you heard what Carmelo said? He laughed at it and said, hey, MJ my GOAT. And Bron said on that same interview, Carmelo, which is one of my best friends, he loves to shoot the ball. I guess it's a Baltimore thing. Because I want to take that shot. Did you hear that?
I didn't. Say that again.
When they were talking about the guy from Baltimore in the college game, like, just give me the damn ball. And he was like, I can believe that. Cause,
oh, boy, Derek Queen.
Yeah, he said, because Carmelo Anthony, one of my best friends, and he loved the ball in that situation. He want to take that shot. And so he said Carmelo one of his best friends. I have heard an interview where Carmelo said MJ number one.
Yeah.
D-Wade. I think they friends.
Yeah.
So what Stephen A. Is Stephen A. telling the truth is because he say that Bron number one, and then Stephen A. said it was never personal with Bron.
No,
the same.
So sorry. No, I was saying, so with Stephen A., right, the difference is LeBron, I always talk about how he has to control the media, right? How he's got the media control. And so Stephen A., having the biggest mouthpiece on the biggest sports media network, right? He expected and clearly wanted Stephen A. to give him that blessing as being the GOAT. And Stephen A. won't do it. And LeBron doesn't like that. That's what he's talking about. You see what I'm saying? That's what he's talking about. Not so much.
I guess we don't know who's telling the truth on that. But I'm saying, Stephen A. always say it wasn't personal time. He come back yesterday or today and said that I don't like him because the stuff he do behind the scenes that personal. It ain't basketball. So which one is it? So Bron might be lying, but Stephen A. lying too.
So I think, so this is what I can say. Obviously, I haven't spoken to either one of them, obviously, right? I wish. But I think that it's my feeling, and I have nothing to back this up. It's just my feeling that when he says it isn't personal, it's not personal when he talks about LeBron's basketball. But when he says, I never like him because of how he moves, that's the personal part with LeBron as a guy, right? Because in this clip, I thought it was so interesting how he was like, yo, he called him, well, he didn't actually call him a snake. He said he slithers, and we know what animal slithers. And he says, he says all the two-faced stuff that he does, y'all don't know the half if y'all only knew. So I would, based on that, because we know Stephen A. knows a lot of stuff that he doesn't put out there, based on that.
We don't know that. We don't know that.
Why don't we know that? Listen, this is what I got to say, right? When you cover something intimately for that long, you make a lot of connections. You see and hear a lot of things, right? That's one thing about people who are beat writers and then, continue and cover a league for a long time. There's a lot that they know. Rick Bucher knows a ton of stuff. Stephen A. knows a ton of stuff. Like Chris Broussard knows a ton of stuff. Rob Parker. These guys behind us, they know a lot, man. That's one thing about, being a journalist and really being embedded deeply and covering a league or covering a team. You know a lot of stuff that never gets out, right? So I say all that to say, like, I'm fully confident that Stephen A. knows a rack of stuff that he's not going to tell us. But that just annoys me because I'm like, well, why would you say, oh, y'all don't know the half? Y'all don't know the half. I wish y'all could know. Well, then don't do that if you're not going to tell us. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying right there.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that, Nino. Absolutely.
But he don't get personal. But then the same thing happened with Kyrie. And he said, me and Kyrie got personal stuff going on.
I'm
so
glad they were able to squash that, though.
Personal stuff has gotten in Stephen A. Ability to do his job. So we can agree on that.
I can agree on that. What I will say though, just listening to what Stephen A says about LeBron though, he still constantly raves about LeBron's greatness. He still has him number 2 overall, but he says the way he moves, he can't rock with that. But when it comes to basketball, he always gives him his basketball flowers, right?
Which is fine. I don't got no problem with Stephen A not liking him. But I'm saying, as far as everybody's point of view, why everybody got to pick a side, whether it's Bron's side or Stephen A? Because it's some stuff Bron said I don't like either. Bron said stuff I don't like.
Right.
Especially with the 70s stuff, I ain't really like that because, like you said, it was hypocritical because of what he just said before about comparing the era.
Absolutely.
Now,
absolutely.
I think he should have called Barkley and them because they the one did. If you remember when I first got on to your show, I told you that the NBA media was a problem way before all this stuff come out.
You're right. You did.
Now let's compare this to the NFL. They can say the same thing in the NFL like you just did about the NFL players today. Because I'm a Steelers fan, and it kills me. We're the reason they changed the rules now, not the Ravens. You do know that. Huh?
You think it was y'all? I don't know, man. We were vicious too, man. I don't know.
You remember Dane Harrison knocking Vince Young on his head?
Yeah, I also remember people getting on. I think it was just physics, but people getting on Siragusa for knocking Rich Gannon out of the playoffs in 2000. During that right. I think that was physics, but anyway. But I mean, those two teams mirror images of each other. We know that.
No, but it's the same concept. The NFL today, by the viewers' eyes, and we can honestly say it's way softer, way more protected.
It is way softer and way more protected. You're right, but there's still legitimate tough guys in the NFL, and the NFL, because dudes don't make nearly as much guaranteed money, and just the way the NFL is, guys still play way harder and take more pride in the game than they do in the NBA. I think that's the difference.
No, the difference is, I'm going to tell you the difference right here. The NBA been hurt our teams since we've been watching. The difference is the coverage. The NFL would never allow a TNT like Tom Buckley or something like that. They sit up there and say the game call. I tell you what, when they change the game, the more they change the game, the more you see the analysts start retiring. And they start bringing in Tony Romo's and all them guys.
You know what? That's a great point, too, because the analysts from the old school, they had a real tough. What's going on, Kareem? How are you doing, brother? Thank you for stopping in. Young Disciple, what's good, my brother? Good to see you here as well, man. No, I was saying, you're 100% right, because the old school guys, they see the game a certain way, and it's very tough for them to play the role and, basically lie about something that they don't think is what it should be. Like,
you remember when they were throwing them flags
on the league? Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I said, you saying, go ahead. You talking about what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. That's what I was saying. Troy Aikman, he goes hard on the league. I'm surprised that they not like, yo, Troy, chill. Because Troy will tell you during the game, like, that was a stupid call, blah, blah, blah. He straight tells it. So,
They working on him, but he the one, it might be one or two, but it's not a whole show. But you remember when they first started, all the older guys, like the legendary guys, they was hitting it like, oh, this is terrible. These pass interference and the quarterback, they were just going on and on. But you looked up, all them guys were gone.
Right. Hold on 1 second, Nino. Hold on 1 second. Young Disciple, man. Yeah, I was running with that, but I also had no problem saying I was wrong about that. Cool. Okay, great. Stephen A was wrong about that too. So, I mean, unless you know for a fact that he purposefully lied about it, I don't understand what the big deal is. He said what he said, then he retracted it, said he was wrong. So, I mean, whatever. But anyway, go ahead, Nino. I'm sorry.
I just think, because I've seen it forehead. I think you need to be a sit down. Bron don't need to way out.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all always criticize Adam Silver. I give him a little break, but now he needs to do something, and he need to talk to Charles Buckers and them stuck in their ways. They good for entertainment now. They bad for basketball because they telling you, hey, you shouldn't be. This is sad. They watching it. Even NFL, it don't matter how much they change.
Mm-hmm.
One thing you can guarantee about the NFL, they won't never allow that on TV.
That you're 100% right. But it's weird though because I can admit that the NFL has changed a lot. The game has gotten a lot softer. But at the same time, like I still, even though basketball was my first love, I still much prefer watching the NFL to the current NFL product to the current NBA product. So I mean,
me too. But it's just football. You know, football winners. But I'm just saying, as far as how they cover the game.
Right. No, I hear you, man. I hear you. But Nino, let you go, man. Got another couple callers trying to get in, bro. And right. I appreciate you as always, Nino. Thank you, man. You know what? Let's do this. Brian Harkin, I want you to call in next because you're calling from overseas. I know it's late night for you. So you give us a call. And then after Brian, whoever else wants to call in can call back. I saw Alexander X trying to get in. So Brian, go ahead and call me now, man. Saying he never brought it up when he did bring it up on his show before. Okay, well, I don't. All right, if you say so. But yeah, we'll wait. We'll get this call from Brian calling in from the Emerald Isle. Definitely love to take that one, and then we'll go from there after him. But yeah, man, I tell you what, man, this whole thing is just, believe it or not, as crazy as this whole Stephen A. LeBron thing is, I will tell you, there's no way the NBA is not loving this. I know they are loving it. Why are they loving it? Because it's taking all this attention off the NFL. People are really talking about and paying attention to the NBA, like seriously. So I'm not even mad at that. They're enjoying it and they're taking advantage of it as they should until it's over. So, you know, Brian, if you heard me, go ahead and call in next, bro. Waiting for you. And then after Brian, I think I saw Alexander X calling in. So we'll get him after that. But yeah, man, this is it's entertaining. I can't say that. It's entertaining. It's giving us tons of content. So, you know, we're doing our thing. We're having a good time with it. Yeah, and Young Disciple, I know that you want to, you know, rub it in. Okay, cool. Yes, I ran with it. I said he wasn't there. And I also said it previously, and I'm saying it again. I was wrong. I was uninformed, or I was ill-informed, or however you want to say it. I was wrong. I thought he wasn't there. He was there. Okay. You see, the difference between me and y'all, it doesn't hurt me to say when I'm wrong. If I come on the show and I say something and I'm wrong about it, and I find out I'm wrong about it, I have no problem getting right back in front of this camera and this microphone and saying I was wrong. So, I mean, I don't know what y'all want from me, but I got no problem doing that. Do you think it hurts me to admit that I was wrong? Do you think that it bothers me and that you're going to keep saying, oh, you ran with it? So cool. No, I didn't lie because I was uninformed. I did not know. Brian Harkin, I didn't see the call come through, man. I don't know what happened there. That's weird. I'm going to open up the act. Let me take this call, Brian. Stay with me, and then I'm going to have you call next, all right? Let me see. What's up, Bruce? I see you, man. What's going on, brother?
I ain't going to be long. I just want to say, man.
What's up?
God damn, Bruce, you working overtime this week, ain't you?
Man, your boy keep giving me content, man. What you want me to say, man?
I do want to say this, man. Like this Aaron shit, the older guys, they ain't no better than the new guys. They ain't no better.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna keep it real short. There's no better than the older new guys.
Okay.
And they don't give the new guys no type of credit, and then the older guys, same. They want the new guys, same. They want to say about the older guys. So it's just like both sides wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like LeBron said yesterday, it's all about evolution, man. God damn, man.
I don't.
And Barkley, he probably one of the biggest reasons why the NBA is trash right now. He part of it. Because he always got something negative to say about the NBA game. God damn.
Okay.
You don't hear none of this shit in the NFL. You know, Troy Aikman might say a little good or something, but
Troy Aikman tell it, you know that.
He do, but not like but it's like 10 of them. It's like the whole media is against the NBA. You don't hear the media talking down on the current NFL. So y'all talking about Giannis won't only gonna average 10 points in the 70s, and he only gonna average 8 points, 10 points in the 80s. Stop this.
So let me ask you this, Bruce.
Stop it.
No, let me ask you, because you call in and you brought up the NFL and all that, and I respect your opinion. Do you think the NBA is currently a better product than the NFL? That's a yes or no. Simple question.
No, it's not, but still, it is okay.
There we go. Okay.
Bro, but in the NBA, it's improving. I don't hear nobody in the media talking about how good it's been lately.
Well, that's not true. But I will say, and I agree with you, that there's been some good stuff in the NBA, and there's going to be good stuff. And I do believe that the future of the NBA is brighter than its present. I do feel.
Then you got motherfuckers. Excuse my language. I don't mean you got Stephen A. I'm ready to get off. You got Stephen A. Had to retract the lie.
So okay, good.
Because he didn't know what the fuck was going on. He think he nervous.
Wait. Say that again. Back up a little bit. He had to retract the lie because what? Because what?
But still, it don't matter.
No. Stop. Say what you were saying. You know why you don't want to repeat it. Say what you were saying.
He had to retract the lie.
Because why?
Why even say it if you don't have all the facts?
Because why? No. I'm not going to let you talk till you say what you were going to say. And you know why you don't want to say it. Go ahead, say it. Say it.
So why would it retract? Why do you even say something like that if you don't have the facts correct?
No, that's not what you said. I want you to say what you were saying.
He had to retract the lie that he told.
He had to retract the lie, and you were saying because he didn't know what he was talking about. That's what you said. Right?
You got that know-it-all. What you know nothing about.
So if he didn't know, how's he lying?
Well, he thought he fucking knew.
Gotcha.
That's the problem.
That's why you didn't want to repeat it. Because I walked you right in.
That's the problem.
That's why you didn't want to repeat it.
He believes and he and trying to show LeBron about visiting. Now he went on national television and said that social media, I'm this shit.
Yeah, you breaking up, man. You're breaking up.
Well, he wasn't in close term, so he was going on television and everything gets LeBron online national television.
Yo, Bruce, you're really breaking up, man. I love when you call, but you're breaking up. I'm not getting what you're saying.
I said he believed. You hear me now?
A little bit. Try again.
You hear me now?
Yes, go.
He said he believed something somebody done told him. Somebody talking about LeBron being a snake. Stephen A. just as snakish. He's no goddamn better. He believed somebody saying, he believed that somebody told him about Bron not being at Kobe's funeral. And he went on national television.
Mm-hmm. You know what I can say about that, Bruce?
And try to put that in the air, try to make LeBron look bad.
You know
all along with the let me talk, Bruce.
No, I was actually about to agree with you, Bruce. I was about to agree with you, man. You're 100% right. And you know how I know? Because I was wrong for it too. Because instead of doing the research and vetting it and verifying it as we should do as journalists, we ran with something we heard. So you're 100% right. I was 100% wrong. I ran with something without checking it, and that is against journalistic principles, as it was for Stephen A. And that's why we're forced to sit back here and take this backlash on that. So you're right, man.
Then y'all popping that shit about Giannis only going to average 10 points in the 70s.
Who said that?
Stop the bullshit.
Who said that?
You said this yesterday on the yesterday show.
I did not say
that. I watched the whole show, Bruce.
I did not say Giannis would average 7 points in the 70s. I didn't 10
I
points.
say he averaged 10 points in the 70s, 7 points in the 80s.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. And if you can find it,
yes, you did.
No. Listen. I said that he would probably score 10, but he would have a whole lot of trouble, right? Because he would turn the ball over a lot for the carrying and the traveling, right? I said that. I didn't say he would average 10. You see what I'm saying?
You got Stephen A. TV like a little. I see why nobody look like Stephen A. I see why T.O. went on Stephen A. First take and said people respect Max Kellerman more than you in the streets.
Let me ask you something, Bruce.
I'm just saying.
Let me ask you something.
I'm just saying.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm just saying.
That's fine. So that's the.
I'm just saying, like,
end all be all. Let me ask you something. Why?
Hold on, see you finish. Let me see. See how you did try to cut. That's all, Bruce.
I'm trying to understand why. What is it with you in this whole streets thing? Why does that hold more value to you than anything else? I notice that when you talk. You're talking about the streets. No. I'm asking you.
I don't like Stephen A.
No, what does that have to do with the streets?
First take and say, damn, Max is more street than you, Stephen A. Than you.
Okay, so if somebody's more street than me, does that make them better than me? You know what? That's a whole different conversation.
It's not no different conversation. We won't get too deep into that. That'd be a few hours for him. You know how we do.
You know how we do.
I'm just saying, man.
I hear you.
Goddamn, Bruce, you on the goddamn 4-day tour, ain't you? You should be selling tickets for this tour.
No doubt.
That interview gave you so much goddamn ammunition. and what Stephen A. saying when he said, boy, we got a whole month to talk about something, huh?
It's been a lot, man.
Hey, bro, I'll catch up with you tomorrow. I'll see you.
Brother, no doubt, man. I appreciate you, man.
All right, bro.
All right, fam.
All right.
Man, this is good, man. This is good. All right, Brian. So this is what happened, Brian. I got a new phone like on Monday, and I forgot to add this number to WhatsApp. You could call now. I just had to re-add it. So go ahead and call, man. Sorry about that, bro. My bad. But we good to go now. Yeah, I'm with your opinion. I'm with you. I'm with you. Oh my gosh. Jeez. Here we go. Brian, what's going on, my man? How are you?
Good yourself.
I'm well, thank you. So for anybody that doesn't know, this is our guy, Brian Larkin, and he's calling in, Brian Harkin, excuse me. He's calling in from the Emerald Isle. He's calling in from Ireland. So shout outs to our international caller. What's going on, man? Talk to me.
All good. I listened to the Pat McAfee interview, and I listened to points of it, right? And the one thing that got me, right, with it was how he seems to downgrade everybody else to make himself look better.
Yeah.
To me, clearly. Especially when he was talking about his teammates in Cleveland Cavaliers, and how he brought them, to the NBA, how he brought them to the NBA finals.
Yep.
Right. And when he said basically he couldn't do any more there in Cleveland. So he had to move on for his own career.
Right.
Right. To me, right, you're a professional basketball player. Right. Aren't these your peers? Shouldn't you be talking them up saying they did everything they could to get me to how many freaking finals in a few years we just couldn't get over the line?
Yeah, that's what you should.
Because if you think about it,
he doesn't move that way.
Yeah, but if you think about it, right, it took Michael Jordan 7 years to win the NBA title.
That's correct.
Right. He stayed in Chicago. He could have left. He could have said, "This franchise ain't working for me." Right? Different mentality. It's a different mentality, right? Michael Jordan said, "I'm going to win. I've got the right coach, and I got the right coach. I forget his name off the top of my head, right? I got the right guy, right? We've got Scottie Pippen, right? Dennis Rodman's coming on board, right? We can make a run at this, right? They did 2 free-peats. It's right. The mentality is completely different. You do not do this, and you do. And I've never heard Michael Jordan say he's the GOAT. I've never heard Larry Bird say he's the GOAT. Correct. I never heard Magic Johnson say he's the GOAT. Correct. I never heard Wilt Chamberlain says he's the GOAT. The only player in this conversation who says he's the GOAT and it shows his insecurity is LeBron James.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that, and I think everyone is seeing it now. We even heard Chris Canty on the clip say he's showing his insecurity.
Yeah, exactly, right. I watched that interview, right, and I felt like it was a child talking, not a man.
Agreed.
I felt like it's someone who's so insecure in themselves that they feel like the best way to get, the best way I can get mine, right? Because he knows he ain't, to a lot of people, he's never going to reach Jordan. So what he's doing right now is he's staying in the league and he's stat padding. Saying, I got 50,000 points.
Yes.
I got this many appearances. But if you look at him, right, you're talking about 40-point games. I believe Michael Jordan has over 100 more 40-point games, and how many less games?
Right.
Then mentality is the difference here, right?
Absolutely.
Michael Jordan knew he was the best.
He didn't have to tell you; he just went out
but
and did it.
He went out and did it. He led by example, right? This is the mentality, right? And as I said, right, it took him 7 years to win the NBA title, but once he got there, right, he was the dynasty. Every team tried to beat the Chicago Bulls and the LA Lakers, right? They were the team, right? And I don't blame him for not getting past San Antonio. That team was stacked. But how could Dallas Mavericks? You know, right? And Dirk was brilliant. But beyond Dirk, right? Battier, like, who else did they have? You know. Like.
Oh, you're talking the
not Battier.
Oh, no, you're talking
no. I'm talking about Dallas. Oh, what's his name?
Jason Kidd, Dirk Nowitzki, Sean Marion.
Marion. Sean Marion, it's unbelievable, right? The delusional thing, right? When he thinks he's the greatest of all time. I don't think he really believes that. I think he's trying to push a narrative.
I don't think so either. And that's the thing. If he did, he wouldn't have to constantly do everything to try and tell us. And I really don't think he does at all.
And when he tried to put Giannis in the 70s, right? Why did he not put himself there? Because he doesn't want to take that responsibility.
Because he doesn't want that comparison coming out. Yeah, that's a good
point. He doesn't want that responsibility, right? If he believes he's the greatest, he could say, I could put myself in any era and I would dominate. He doesn't do that there. He said Giannis would score 250 points in the game. He never said he would. He never said he would do it.
Right.
He doesn't want to put himself. Even when Pat McAfee said, even you, right? He over talked him and he said, no, Giannis. He stuck to Giannis. Right, he didn't want to put himself in that response, and even when Pat McAfee was trying to say he would, he still stuck with Giannis because he doesn't want that comparison.
Right.
So just the idiocy, right? This is a child talking to other children, because if they were real interviewers, they would have clapped back at him.
Yeah,
right?
But
they're podcasters. They're podcasters pretending to be interviewers. But if they were real interviewers, they would have asked the real hard questions. It doesn't.
So here's the deal. This is what I said about that, right? It's my assumption that LeBron would not take any interview if he didn't know ahead of time what the questions were going to be. And that's a lot of celebrities, right? If he didn't get the questions ahead of time and know exactly what the topics were, and if there were any hard questions in there, he wasn't going to take that interview. And also, I have to come to grips with the fact, and I discussed this yesterday, McAfee is not a reporter or a journalist. McAfee is a former athlete. So there's very few former athletes that really are going to sit down and really give an in-depth interview and really ask those tough questions. It doesn't generally work that way. Because you said you listened to it, so you heard basically they were giving him softballs the whole way. They were laughing and joking, and they were sucking up to him. And I'm like, come on, man. There were so many opportunities where there could have been some pushback and possibly gotten a deeper response. But again, LeBron would not have taken that interview if he knew there was a chance of that. So,
Yeah, even when they did try to push back, and I talk about it with the honest thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
LeBron just talked over them and said, "No, this is my narrative. This is my point."
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't want that responsibility.
Right.
Like a great player would say, "I would dominate in any era."
Right.
If a great player would go, "I would compete in any era. I would dominate in any era."
Well,
right. There's a reason why he skipped the 80s and this. There's a reason why he skipped the 80s and the 90s, because everybody knows about the 80s and the 90s.
Right.
I think
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, right. So he goes back to the 70s, where a lot of people have probably studied less.
Right.
It would be a lot of more older heads that would know about the 70s.
Right. I thought the same thing. That's exactly what I said. There's a reason he chose
it's so much easier to pull a narrative on young people that I am the greatest. Right.
Mm-hmm.
The people who have not seen the older eras of the 90s and the 80s and the 70s. It's so easier because I think we can all agree, right? LeBron James is probably the greatest player of the last 10, 15 years. Right? In stand power and not dominance, but in stand power.
Yeah,
right?
Okay, I got you.
So, in longevity and all that, but like, I remember an All-Star game, right, where him and Kobe, it was one of his first ones where Kobe just absolutely destroyed him.
Yes.
And, right. And Kobe said, "All right, you're the young guy coming free. Prove to me what you got," right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Kobe ever showed him any respect after that, because, he didn't, because I don't feel like LeBron pushed back on Kobe. Right.
Right.
And for me, if you're a grit, you don't want to be outshined. If you believe, you're this guy, you don't want to be, you want to go head to head with the best, competition, all this. I never felt like he had that in him. I felt when things got tough, he doesn't take the last shot.
Mm-hmm.
If things get tough, he likes to give somebody else. He likes to give somebody else the ball. I've never felt like, for me, the greatest of all time is a closer. I never thought he was a closer, and to me, that's why he's not the greatest.
Well, I think there's more to it why he's not the greatest, but I can't argue that closer. I can't argue that he's not a closer piece anymore. It might not be the way that we want to see it, but based on what he's done throughout his career, it's really hard to argue that he's not a closer, and I don't think that it's a fair argument. I think he's built differently than some of the other closers, but I don't think we can at any point now, not at any point, we can no longer say that he's not a closer. That's not fair.
I think he's had periods where he was the closer, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But for longevity and like somebody who does it consistently, I don't feel like it was ever in him, right? And he's always willing to make the right play, as they say, right? He's always willing to give it to the guy who's free, right? I don't think he likes contact in the last couple of minutes of the game because he has to go to the free throw line,
right?
And I feel like that's always been a weakness of his. I remember right when he was playing against San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
And he went in, right, and Duncan slashed the ball away from him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? It was like, all right, now go take 3-point shots. Go take long two layups, right? Right after that, there you can't miss him. And I just never felt like, you know, he was the guy. And I don't think he's improved in that. I think he's a little bit better now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he picks and chooses when he takes these shots.
Right.
And it's all about stat pattern. It's not, he doesn't do it consistently enough for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
If he can get to the basket, he'll do it.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
Okay. Right. Well, that's basically it. But I just think he's a snake. I don't like him. I never looked at him and went, he would throw anyone under the bus to make himself look better, and he knows he's not the GOAT.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
He knows it. That, to me, that's the biggest. He says he's the GOAT, but he knows he's not the GOAT.
Yeah, agreed.
To me, that's the biggest. That's the biggest lie, and he's the one telling it.
No doubt. Well, man, thank you so much for the call, Brian. I appreciate it, man. Great thoughts, and I appreciate it, man.
No problem. Have a good one.
All right, brother. You have a great one. Thanks for the call.
Peace, man. Peace.
Good stuff. All right, Alexander X, I saw you calling, man. Go ahead, give a call back, and then we're going to go ahead and get out of here, wrap it up for the night. So we'll wait for that. Nah, young disciple, we're not saying every year you don't win in stat padding, but you're not going to understand why that's being said. But I got a question for you, young disciple. Real talk. Have you noticed that anything that is not in favor of LeBron, commentary-wise, you call a narrative, and that you jump up in defense of LeBron at every turn? Like, have you noticed that? Alexander X, what's going on, brother? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. How about yourself? Can you hear me?
Maintaining, brother. Yes, I can hear you.
For sure. Well, there was a lot to unpack in that interview, man. But where I say was the most disrespectful was when he started saying Will would score. Who scored 200?
Giannis,
250 points in the 70s. I was like, what? Like, Giannis barely has a skill set now to be where he thinks he would be in that time. There was so much more skill required to score.
Agreed.
And they had their hands on you, and they could steer you. The defense was in control for the vast majority of the NBA. So when you want to talk about, like, how good the eras are, it's like, the 90s, the 80s, 70s, even the 60s, man. And to say in the 70s, that's what Giannis would have done. I don't think he would have allowed that. I don't think Bernard King, Julius Erving, Big O,
Wilt, Artis Gilmore, Nate Thurman, Bob Lanier. Like, it wouldn't have been that. It wouldn't have been that sweet. But I mean, it is what it is. Guys think what they think.
Yeah, so that was very, very disrespectful. I didn't like that. And then the shot at Windhorst, I thought was very unnecessary. I don't know why he caught a stray when he only supports LeBron since like junior high.
Facts.
Yeah, since junior high, and I'm like, he's been there before Shannon, before Nick, before all these guys that he's saying right now.
That's true.
And in this rumor, he made LeBron actually feel comfortable with his question. And in Miami, in Cleveland, LA. So that was, I was like, where did that come from? Out of all the players that are calling him the B word on a different podcast, I just looked up in the finals. I just looked up in the finals. Sean Marion called him the B word when he hit a hook shot across the layup in the finals. I'm like, man.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
so, if the players are challenging that level of integrity or management of LeBron James, why shouldn't we question?
That's a great
question. And then number 3, if my dad stepped in front of some man for me, I'm like, Dad, you know how that make me look?
everybody is not built the same, though. Everybody doesn't see things the same, and you know, I agree with you wholeheartedly, but that's just not how. That's not what some people are about. So,
that's just not how men operate.
Yeah,
like,
look, I'm not
grown men.
Alexander, I'm not going to say that he's not a man, but what I will say is, for me personally, I can't tell anyone else how to raise their son, but I would say the whole point of raising your son is by the time he's that age, you should trust him to be able to make his decisions. And he also would have to understand that whatever decisions he makes, he's got to be accountable for him. You can't fight his battles anymore, you know, unless he's getting jumped or something, like, you know, whatever, cool. But you can't fight his battles anymore at a certain point. So, but again, everybody sees things differently. So, you know.
And look, it was just like that moment. You know, I agree with LeBron. Hey man, I don't agree with him not, which is, I believe, is in the contract where LeBron wants to speak to the media or not, he won't get fined, or he covers or the team covers the money.
Right.
Doesn't play road games with the team. And so he's very, very privileged. So to see LeBron go to this place and the kids are already privileged enough was like, whoa, okay. But Bronny's gonna be fine here. He's going to step up in the GB. More power to him, man. It's obvious that and what made it even worse was like it wasn't even about Bronny. It was about Stephen A. not agreeing with him being the GOAT. And I was like, wow. And it's very petty, and to him to show up like I believe unannounced, like at Pat McAfee. Somebody had to text me he was there. Like, what? He got a hoodie on. He looks like he at work right now with a hoodie on and sweats and a hat on. I'm like, what are you doing here? Like, you're the same where I'm from. Keep it to yourself. I'm the last people. I'm like, who invited you here? But either way it goes, I'm pretty sure questions behind it. And I'm just shocked you didn't go to Nightcap or Draymond. All these players that
very interesting, isn't it? All the people, what's right with Nick Wright? He could have been on there. All the people that support him the most, he didn't show up on their platform. I thought that was very interesting. Very, very interesting, man. And and then you got Steve Nash as a guest, as his co-host on the. You know what I can say though? That's probably going to be pretty good, man. Those are two smart basketball guys. Like, it's probably going to be pretty good. I could be objective in that. Like, I watched a few episodes of the first one with JJ Redick. Like, it was good. It was, if you're looking for X's and O's, it was good. But quick side note, I noticed that when he was talking about that's how we came up, you know, loving the game. Nobody came up loving the game, learning X's and O's. X's and O's came later. This is what the disingenuousness is crazy, right? We all hooped on some level, whether it was just in the playground or the hardwood or for a team or in college or what have you. We all hooped on some level. Nobody came up loving the game on X's and O's. You learned X's and O's later, but nobody cares. See, this is what, anyway, always got to paint the narrative, but it is what it is.
Yeah. And, yeah, it was just like I feel like it just, and then Stephen A, man, he was going off. He pulled up the guy that got scored by it recently. Kendrick Perkins was there. It was like the enemy of my enemy. These are my friends.
Right. Definitely. Yeah. K Perk said he blocked me on Twitter, so I blocked his number.
Yeah, and I'm like, he was there before Windhorst.
Yo, man, this whole thing is so juvenile, man. But again, we see this is how LeBron moves. But what I love about it, it's all coming out. All the same stuff I've been saying, it's all coming out. So hey, you know, again, all I gotta do is sit back and wait, and he always does it. So it's good. It's good, man.
Yeah, it's great for us over here in the truth, what I call the truth telling station of YouTube, man.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you ride out, man. You've been working the last few hours, but thanks for taking my call, man. Appreciate
it. Alexander, man. I appreciate you being here. Thanks so much, man. All right, brother. All right, guys. All right. A little over 2 hours here on one topic. Crazy, but man, obviously this thing has just grown legs of its own. I appreciate all of you being here so much. Oh, my announcement. Tomorrow afternoon, 5:30 Eastern time, you're going to see the debate, man, because y'all have no idea what goes on behind the scenes with myself and Bruce from Be More. So we are going to debate a couple of topics, and we are going to go at it because Y'all have no idea how hectic it gets between us. Like damn near all day, every day. We have some great debates. And so we're going to share a couple of topics with you guys, and we're going to go at it, man. So tune in tomorrow afternoon at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Hope to see you all there. And yeah, we're going to do that thing, man. So that's what it is. Y'all have a great rest of your night. I appreciate all of you for tuning in. If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe on the way out, man. We out. Peace.